Oh, well, hello, everybody. Hi. Court now in session. Yes. Hi. I saw some comments, and they said, "I wonder what he's going to look like tonight." And so I did a quick run up to my attic, and I found out that I really am out of wigs. And well, here we are. You get the old man today, the old man judge. So, hi. The things I won't do for a laugh. That list is very, very short.
Hi. I can't picture what like judge or attorney that you remind me of right now, but it's
what was that guy? The guy from Zachariah.
Schroeder?
Yeah, just because he's old like this. What do you
that was his favorite.
When I started lawyering, I used to walk uphill both ways to catch the bus, which we ran with our own feet. That's about it. That's all I got.
In the snow. You forgot snow. Had to be the snow. Is that better?
Can't even get these to work. Oh, man. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be able to see you. I can breathe. Actually, I'll tell you what, that mask breathes better than the wigs.
I believe it. And we match again tonight.
We did not plan this. We
never do. We never do, but yet here we are.
Kelly said he's been lawyering since the First Continental Congress. It's very true. Very true. What does he say? He's like,
kind of looks. I mean,
I want you.
He ain't wrong.
To cut all. Okay. Brandi, how was beach day?
Well, there was a tornado.
You too much beach. There was a tornado.
So that happened, and then in typical Florida fashion, 30 minutes after the tornado, everybody's dragging their beach chairs out there. And some of the ones that got thrown around, some people just flipped them over and just used them. But yeah, I ended up not doing since I thought it was going to be raining all day. So I was like, well, instead of doing beach day today, I'll take today and work and get my Melly stuff going so I can do, I'm going to do my video. Right. We're going to do the stream on Monday, and there's so much.
See, I can be John Thomas because I saw him in a movie once.
There you go. Had tornadoes in Ohio last night. Yeah, there was some this morning. It was kind of crazy. Courts were closed today. It was not weather. This was planned. So courts were closed today, and they are closed Monday for the holiday, and we'll resume Tuesday morning, where we will find out if the judge is going to declare mistrial or not. So it's I doubt he will, but I think that it will be definitely an issue for appeal.
He's really got to think about it.
Yep.
Really got to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I even like the fact that he has to think about it.
Well, here's the thing. This is a death penalty case, and it's a local rapper. So, and I say local rapper. I mean, he's local to Florida, and he's So a lot of people will automatically know. More people in this area will automatically know who he is. But also, he wasn't just local. He, national and stuff. And so to find people who don't know anything about him, and to find a jury who's, death. My words aren't coming to me. Death qualified. What's it called?
Penalty?
Death penalty qualified,
No.
where they have to, because they have to go through like a whole separate line of questioning for if death penalty is on the table. So it's been a long day and I have no words. I doubt they'll do a mistrial, but I think that they will end up, it'll definitely be an appeal if there's a conviction. They'll use that for an appeal, and it'll more than likely get approved.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Oh, Teresa said capital qualified.
There you go.
Ba-da-ba-da. All right, well, let's do this real quick. Let's tell everybody what they've won.
Sound.
You can't hear it?
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. Why they got to be doing... I literally hit share system audio for a reason. Oh, now I need my mask on. The old man mask. Had to do a little finagling for that 3D, but got her done.
So fancy. I like it.
We try to, I haven't seen one like it, so I was like, let's do it. Let's make it a little different.
Love it.
You guys don't know, like, court might have been off today, but Brandi was not. No. At all.
No, not at all. Me and Lucy.
So.
Lucy worked too. Say hi, Wooshy Woo. Say hi, baby. Oh.
They want to know. They want to know if you researched the babysitter lawyer.
Yes.
Good. I can't wait to hear about it.
Oh, somebody's at my door. Hold on.
Uh-oh. I don't want to see a crime as this is happening live. Well, while she's doing that, thanks everybody for the kind words about the graphics. It's something that we'll do for a while, and then I'll probably change it up because my graphics ideas have just about as much ADHD as I do, which I'm sure you all have found out. Okay, so listen, I went to, we are going to get to Jodi Arias today. In fact, we're going to hear from a Sprint representative and a friend of the defendant, Jodi, so that's going to be fun. But I found this thing in the grocery store, and I did not know this existed. It's a Sunny D vodka seltzer, and I'm not a very big seltzer person. I really need to mind the keyboard, don't I? JT, what are you doing? Come here. Mind the keyboard. That was a lot fuller than I thought it was going to be. Anyways, so I found this Sunny D vodka seltzer, and I don't do seltzers. Mrs. Bruce Crime does. But I thought for funsies, I would buy it and try it and see what it looked. Well, yes. See, they must be everywhere. Where did I find it? I found it literally in the grocery store in like the beer wine aisle. Yeah, it's like Sunny D seltzer. This was in Kroger because they have Kroger's here where I'm at. I don't know if Kroger's everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's not. And I don't want to be, I don't want to assume. But I'm going to try this now because this is going to be fun. That's a very dangerous drink. You're muted. You're muted.
I forgot. I was going to say you can't taste the alcohol, and
no,
they're so good. It's the perfect beach drink too. I get those to go out to the beach. It's like the perfect beach drink. I love those things.
I love this. Dean's coming in hot with the John Thomases.
Ah!
Dean, if you stick around, we are definitely going to do some Jodi Arias ones. I am going to try and pull them from all the different streams we've done so far and make a video. Yeah, this is very, very dangerous. It does taste pretty good. And John Thomas does drink. Does anybody remember those commercials with the orangutan for Tang? It was Tang. It's a kick in the glass. They would never let that on Nickelodeon anymore. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. You know, I'm very much a beer person, which I do have a sour beer over here. So I'm very excited. It's Friday, everybody. Can you tell? It's Friday. I've got my big pile of snacks over here. I got my water and I got my beer / vodka seltzer.
Well,
There's nothing wrong with Tang.
Well, I want something.
We'll go get something. Oh, goodness gracious. Man, how is everybody? Yes, TGIF. Oh my gosh, you used to mix Tang with Sprite and call it Sprang. As an adult, that's really funny. As a kid, that makes sense. Sprang.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Aaron, you're not late at all. We just got started.
Oh, so if anybody's
Tang with
wondering
hot water.
who was at my door, it's the pizza guy. I didn't order.
We like the pizza
I didn't
guy.
order pizza. But they brought by this to tell me that all vacationers get $8.99 wings per pound. And I was like, well, I'm not a vacationer. Do I still get
pound?
$8.99? Literally.
How can they tell whether you are or not? I guess
I don't know. It's
12 wings.
Every 4 days
That's
they come knocking on my door for that. I'm like, can you remember that I live here and I already have 100 of these?
Carmen said you left quick like the Target lady on SNL.
I had to get something. It's been a long day. So
that's usually me, Shireen. I don't usually do these, but I'll make an exception for this one. They have the Sunny D, and then there's another one that they've come out with that I wanted to get today, and I was like, let's save it for next time. Let's not do it all at the same time.
I love the Sunny D. This is the monster ones. They're called
the monster.
And it's
monster what?
Monster seltzers.
Seltzer. Okay, but there's no alcohol in that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. They're like 6%.
Thanks, Ricky.
I think it's
Ricky says, "Happy Father's Day to all y'all fathers, father figures, all of it. Even if you're a fur daddy, that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean.
Fur daddy,
if you're fur daddy, whatever you want. How many? Carmen, I googled that real fast. It's like 10 to 12 wings, which 8. That's not too bad. It's not bad. How much do the monsters have in them alcohol wise?
6%.
6%. There's something about adding a depressant and a stimulant that confuses the hell out of my body, and it doesn't like it. Like I've never done it before, ever.
Oh, yeah, I do.
That I can remember. See, and that's the problem.
like vodka and Red Bull, like that, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I'm all about but I'm so messed up anyway.
Hi, here. Oh, we missed you.
Hello.
We were
Good morning.
actually I think on Wednesday night, some folks were like, I haven't seen 80s man in a while.
He's been making it to day court, but he hadn't been out at night lately. Fur daddy, yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, who was it the other day that was on the stand? And he was younger. I mean, he was of age, but he was more like, he's closer to my son's age than my age. He's young, but he's a cutie. And somebody in God, what was it? Was he like an officer or something? I don't know. He was a cutie, and JT was like he's, because a couple people were talking about him being a trial daddy. Some of our younger people were talking about him being a trial daddy, and JT was like, I don't know if I'm comfortable. He's so young, and I was like, we'll make him a trial nephew. It'll be fine. It'll be a trial nephew. I can't remember who it was. I'm sure it'll be. sent to me. So we're not doing the whole trial nephew calendar, so don't get your don't get your hopes up. But
that's a little weird. That's a little
weird.
That's a little too Duggar for me.
I guess not for like our younger people, but for me being an old lady.
Debbie's the one who dropped off that advertisement.
Oh yeah,
Debbie's making pizza.
Debbie's making pizza.
I love it. Oh, here we go. Wait, what? What? Dean?
Oh no.
All right, Dean. Send me you gotta send me a message, man. We'll be thinking about y'all and baby Justice.
Yeah, keep us updated.
I've been through almost that exact same thing with the second one, so we'll be thinking about you for sure. Homemade pizza is the best pizza for you and me. Can we send Polly? Yes. Sorry, I was reading and I wasn't popping it up. I think we could do that, right, Brandi?
Heck yeah, we could do that. I just need an address.
Dean, if you want to Discord me your address, we'll send you a 13th Juror teddy bear for sure. Look at all these wonderful messages to Dean. I love this community. I love it.
Me too.
Oh gosh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, Dean, we'll be thinking about you. Okay. Let's see. What else do I have? I don't know if I have any more updates or anything.
Plus, that's all. Like Dean's baby is kind of like all of our baby, because it's like the first. Yeah. It's the first cult baby, so, so we're of course all going to be sending all the well wishes.
Can we briefly? And I know you're going to probably mention this on Monday, but can we briefly mention the whole concept of butt sniffing and armpit licking?
Oh my God!
What? Somebody did say something yesterday that I read, and they were like, "What was he sniffing?" And I was like, "I guess he could have been like in his coat inhaling something, but also look, he's done this more than once.
He has
more than
not once. Even just more than once, like back to back, like on multiple days. So when I tweeted it, I was like, that state issued deodorant apparently just ain't cutting it. But I mean, it literally, like, you can see him like scratching, and then and then smelling. And then I'm like,
treating himself like a child scratch and sniff sticker. It's ridiculous. And then he turns right to the attorney babysitter and just starts talking like it's nothing. And I'm like, listen, this is gross. It's gross. Yeah. Innocent or guilty, no matter what it is, that's gross.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Not fun to be sitting next to him, I'm sure. Well, I say that.
I don't know. She seems to think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, she's having a blast. She's having a blast. Y&W smelly. Yeah. There are a few moments in which, these will be, I'm sure, some of the WTF moments that we take a look at. But there have been, everybody, like after the Travis trial, and our interview with Mark and everything, like that was such an emotional trial for a lot of us. And it was so like high energy, towards the end, especially, so then it's like that ended and we went into Melly, and I think everybody was still like on like an emotional hangover, so like we had a lot of people had trouble getting into the Melly thing at first. And then it's like after like the first day, then all of a sudden stuff started happening and we're like, wait, what just happened? What did we just see? Did we really just see this? And now it's already turning into, another craziness. JT, oh yes, Brandi asked Melly to scratch his ear and he touched his ear. I think they were watching Brandy's stream. So somebody said something to him because he kept looking at the laptop, and somebody said something about his scratch his head or something, and he put his hand on his head or something. So we were like, okay, we'll get you. Yeah, tug your ear. And then he's like, and he touched
got very close.
And we were like, oh. So funny.
I mean, there are obviously some folks that support that are in the chat and probably also in the courtroom. So it's very uncomfortable. It's very. I mean, you're the one who's doing the day stream, but it's very. I told you, it's very weird thinking that we've gotten to that point, which really doesn't feel like we should be at that point, or we are, but apparently we are. So.
Yeah. I mean, you really never know. It's like, we didn't know that, Mark and Heidi's kids were watching. And, we have, and now because of all of that, Travis Rudolph's aunt, she and I have, talked a lot back and forth on Twitter throughout everything. And even now. And so she's like, well, I don't know how this whole, YouTube thing works, but she's like, but she watched, her very first time was watching the interview with Mark. And then I mentioned the Melly trial. So she was like, well, I'll come. So she's been in there and chatting, and she messaged me on Twitter, and she's like, I'm still not sure how to work the chat thing. I think I'm figuring it out. But she's like, I'm so behind, because she was in the courtroom every day with Travis. She's like, I'm so behind on everything. But now that we're starting more trials, she's like, I can't get anything done thanks to y'all. So I'm like, oops, my bad. Yeah, but you never know who's in here watching you at any time. Kind of cool.
Very true. And that's what we always remind everybody. It's like, you never know who's going to watch this both on replay or currently, when we pop different messages and stuff in. So it's always important just to remember that, of course. Yeah. Now, when it comes to Jodi Arias, there's not a problem there. I mean, you don't say everything you want. This is very PG-13, but I mean, you guys know how this goes. You guys know how night court works.
Yeah.
These are the night court folks.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Look, any of the bad stuff I say, I stand by it 100%. I stand by everything I said about Dominique. I was even tagging her on Twitter, and then she closed down her Twitter. But yeah.
So she's a 13th Juror addict now?
Yes.
I love it.
I love that.
Yep. Jodi. That's a really good one. Wait, you need JT. We need JT face over pics. What are those?
Your face over the pics.
Oh, over the pictures. Oh, I see. Carmen, thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Oh. They challenge me every day to be a better / more patient person, and boy, I fail every single day. But I try. Thanks, Carmen. Appreciate you.
That's awesome. Yes. Amazing. Kept looking for you today.
See, I told you, they be saying it all the time. They were saying it all the time today.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was going to do the stream, and then I was like, you know what? I would rather, it was rainy this morning, and I was like, I just want to sleep in, and I still had some stuff I wanted to look up, and I want this stream. I have a lot of stuff that I want to get into this stream, and it's going to be the best thing whether you've watched it and you missed something, or whether you watched it and you want to know some of the background stuff, because I found some stuff out, or if you're, if you haven't watched it but now you're, ready to get into it, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. But I can tell you this, that in terms of, you deciding to kind of take the day, I know our mods appreciated a few hours off. They work so damn hard.
I know.
They work so damn hard. So I appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, Brandi, gosh, what were you thinking?
I know. I'm sorry.
He's been doing some cool stuff though.
I know.
He's been streaming sunsets and releasing shorts of ants.
Yeah. And he did the thing today, the finder. Why can't I use words today? I'm too tired. Oh, hi, welcome. Stop by to see what normal people do in first source.
Your first mistake was assuming we were normal.
You were wrong in that assumption.
You get that I Dream of Jeannie ponytail.
Oh yeah, like the witness, the Barbara Eden witness. This is my I rolled right out of bed hair and forgot that we were going to be on and never did anything. You're our daddy now.
That's awkward. But also, I mean, thank you. Thanks, Lisa, for the £2.
I love that.
Oh,
too.
goodness.
Yeah.
I do too. I love it when that pops up.
Oh, metal
He
detecting. That's the word I couldn't remember.
Oh, he live streamed metal detecting? I missed it.
He
Well,
did
now
that
I got to
today.
go do it. I hope he was able to try out some of the stuff that he's been wanting to try out, in terms of the, outdoors and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jodi Arias got allowed to go to high school.
That's awesome.
Oh, God. Y'all. I love you all so much.
That's
Oh,
funny.
God. Well, if you like the stream, and we are going to start on Jodi pretty soon here, but if you like it, hit the like button, hit the share button.
Even if you don't, do it anyway. You're here. Why not?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
oh, no, I'm sorry, but I'm glad you're here.
We're glad.
We'll send you some virtual soup.
Yes.
I like it when you call me Big Papa. That's all I know. That's literally the only part of the song that I know. That is it.
That's funny. That was amazing. Nailed it.
Hey, Brandi, can you keep the chat going just for a second? I'm just going to go. Before you go, I'm going to say goodnight to my little ones, and then I'll be right back.
Okay. leave your mic on.
Try not to hang myself.
I love these hot mic moments when you can hear him saying goodnight to his little mini people. Like you can hear their little laughter in their voices. Look. Is that the cutest thing ever? Him saying goodnight to the mini people. I love it. Let's see. Whew, sorry, y'all. I'm so tired. Yeah, JT rapping is something I would pay to see. You know what? I think that would be as interesting as the, if not more, as the dramatic readings with the wig and everything.
Oh, boy.
This is why he is our dad.
Who?
This is why he is our dad. We can hear you saying goodnight to the mini people.
Oh. To the minis? Yes. Oh, yes. Lisa, you have heard my rap. I think everybody's heard that whole white and nerdy, and that's what got that video banned in Russia. So
yes, we are banned in Russia.
In Russia, you don't sing white and nerdy sing you.
Yeah. Screwed that one up for us.
We did. We sure
I
did. Oh, hi, Sydney's little juror.
Aww.
Hello. Let's see, Sydney. Does your little juror like any characters? Like Disney characters? Anything classic? Like Mickey, or I don't know, somebody I have a brief voice of. You let me know. Oh man, what an intro, huh?
Yes. Oh, do you want to show the
Oh,
the
yes. We can do that.
Since we love oh my god, I just looked at myself in the camera, y'all. I didn't
Don't do that yet. Loves Yoda. Oh boy. Watch 13th Juror, you must. Mini juror. That's all I got. That's it. Boop. All right. Let's see here.
That's good.
We've got a couple new things.
Yes.
We've got a couple new things.
Since we loved of course so much, we loved Mark and Heidi. And we wanted to thank them for coming on the show. We sent them, the show sent them each their own custom mug, and we got them on the website too, but on the merch site. So we got
there's
one
that
for Mighty
one.
Heidi, and then one for Mark the Shark. So we sent
That's
them.
actually really reasonable as a price. That's really reasonable.
Yeah.
That's great. Yay!
Yeah.
Look at these happy hands.
Happy
These
hands.
stock photo happy hands. Who she be wearing a Christmas sweater?
They have a lot of Christmas stuff in here. I guess maybe because Christmas is like a big time where,
Yeah.
people are
It probably
buying
saves
stuff.
them from having to replace pictures and stuff.
Look at the Christmas pine cone. Oh, and Halloween.
candy.
Oh. See, you
Well, in
can use
case.
your mug for all holidays.
All holidays.
There you go.
Holidays that involve coffee.
Yep.
Which is literally every day.
Yeah. And also, for those of y'all who have been with us through some of the struggles, guess whose fiber internet is finally working?
That one's that person right there.
I
her
am so excited. I will not have any more like buffering problems, and I'm not going to be like, can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let me log out and come back in. Can you hear me now? No more of that.
She's now got me jealous because now her upload speed trumps mine greatly, and her download speed also trumps it just by a little bit, but it still trumps it. Now I need fiber, which I'll never get here in this town ever.
So excited.
But that's okay. I guess I didn't really have too much of an issue to begin with. So
No, you don't. Yours is good. I had all kinds of issues. I was like, oh nope, you can't use it's kind of like one of those things. Like, you remember like your first ever apartment, like when you first move out and you're broke and you're living off ramen noodles and you can't run the microwave and the air conditioner at the same time. That's how my internet was. I couldn't have more than one thing on the internet at the same time. That's how it was. You live in your basement. Yeah.
Oh man, good grief. All right, Ricky. Ricky just said he's got to tag out. You have a good night, sir.
Good night, Ricky.
You guys are coming in hot today. Hot. Went to the beach to surf the internet.
I love those.
Debbie. Oh, you all. I love the before trial, before stream hangout here at night. It's great.
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Now I just have to.
Well,
everybody keeps telling me now I have to figure out how to work my camera. I know that there's a way to sharpen the picture. I just don't know how to do it.
Well,
I'll work on that.
if you send me, yeah, you can look it up. If you send me what type it was, because I forgot. But
I don't know either. But we'll look one thing at a time. I look better blurry anyway. So y'all.
That is absolutely not true.
That's because you've never seen me not blurry. Yes, it feels like, I feel like I'm Baby Bear's walking in high cotton now. Yes, I feel like I am highfalutin, fancy, all that good stuff. Let's see.
Please. I'm not going to put it up, but you need to read Teresa's next one.
I see it. I see it.
I love Night Court.
Y'all are funny. All right, I am going to get off of here. I wanted to come on and say hello to all of my people, but my eyes are starting to go cross-eyed. So I am going to take a break, take Lucy for a walk, and then probably. No, I'm not. I was going to say I'll probably work a little bit more on the video, but I'm going to try to rest for a little bit and then finish my video tomorrow.
Go to sleeps.
I am going to be lurking though. Once I get back from taking her for her little walk, I'm going to be lurking and listening in the bushes like always. So, but I appreciate y'all letting me come on and say hi. And I will. Good night. I love the good nights. Good night. I will be lurking in a little while. So I will see y'all later.
All right.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
y'all.
Bye. Oh, when she drops in, it's the best. Do we have any more dramatic readings of Jodi's journals? I think we could probably bring one out if you guys want that to happen. If you guys are into that and you want another one, we can definitely do that. We'll watch the first video, and then if we'll see where things go. We'll see where things go. But yeah, that's very possible. Thank you. Not a drama llama. Not a drama llama. Not a drama llama. Hard to say 3 times fast. We do have WTF on Sunday at 8:30, and that's gonna be. Oh boy, that's gonna be one. Because there's gonna be at least the last week of Travis, Rudolph, and then also the beginning of Melly. So, well, what do you say we get started? I think that's a good idea. And so it's Sprint rep and then one of Jodi's friends. I'm interested to see what the friend says. I don't know. Hi, Debbie Blair. Thanks for coming. Thank you very much. All right, let's see. Let's add this to the stream. Let's actually pick the right thing. Is that the right thing? That doesn't feel like the right thing. Nope. That feels more right, but it sure doesn't feel like it's as full screen as it should be. I don't like it. I don't like it. Well, something's up. Something is up. 1 second, everybody. Sorry. Let's let me do this. Let me get back to me. And my mic's also doing a little bit of a short out. Come on now. Oh my goodness. Everything all at the same time. It's like Monday all over again. Okay. Let's see here. Can we do this? What if we did that? And then that. And then that. There we go. That's better, everybody. Now I'm going to hit play, and you all are going to holler at me if you can't hear it.
Your name, sir?
My name is Jeff Strome.
And who do you work for?
I work for Sprint Nextel Telecommunications.
And what kind of business is that, just briefly?
We're a cell phone company.
And I'm going to show you exhibit number 366.
Okay, cool.
Does your company keep records that are made at or near the time that the telephone call is being made?
Yes.
And the information that's on these records, is it created from the information transmitted by the handsets as they're communicating through your network?
Yes, they are.
And these numbers or this information, is that kept in the normal course of business?
Yes.
And with regard to the item that you have in front of you, are those partial records for a telephone number?
Yes, they are.
And what's that telephone number?
The phone number is 831-402-1901.
And those are true and accurate copies of the originals that you have online?
Yes.
I move for the admission of exhibit number 366.
No objection.
366 is admitted.
Just so that we can get familiar with how they look. Let's take a look at the second page. In the first column, when it says calling NBR, what are we talking about?
That's the calling number. That's the number that's initiating a particular phone call.
So for example, if we take the first one, that the initiating number is an 801 number, right?
Yes.
And the number that they called is our target phone, correct?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. Why do we have there 1-831-402-1901? What are we looking at there?
What that column represents is the called number, the number that's receiving a particular phone call. For this specific example, which has the 11, before the 10-digit target number ending in 1901. What that represents is a phone call that's routed to voicemail.
Okay, and then we have the dial digits. How is that different than what we looked at just now?
Those are the numbers actually input into the physical handset.
In other words, the
Nope.
person who's calling actually inputted those numbers into their handset?
Correct.
Okay. And then the MR number, what does that mean?
That's an acronym for mobile role, the role of the target number.
She decided against
the
her
entries you
fake
see
glasses
underneath
today.
there are going to be inbound, outgoing, or routed with respect to the target number ending in 1901. Inbound being that the target number is receiving a phone call. Outbound being that the target number is initiating the phone call. And then routed
Yes.
phone calls.
All right, and the start date, what information is provided there?
That's the date and time as to when a phone call initially registers onto our network.
And when you say it registers onto the network, are we talking about the switch? Or-
Yes.
Okay. And then the end date and time, what about that?
When a phone call terminates from our network or switch.
And the duration, is that, what's the unit of measure there?
Seconds, it's the amount of time spent on the network in seconds.
And then REPOLL number, what is that?
That's the repull number. For the sake of these records, what it is a reference to a group of cell phone towers with respect to a certain area. There's a repull number for Kansas City. There's a repull number for Dallas. For bigger areas such as Los Angeles, there's multiple repull numbers. But again, it references some sort of geographic region.
And then it has first cell. What does that mean?
That number indicates the specific cell phone tower that the target number is using at the beginning of a phone call.
Well, how come we have zeros here? What does that mean?
It can be a couple different things. For text messages, it's not going to show any cell site information. Also, when phone calls are routed to voicemail, like the first example that we looked at on the screen, that's not going to show any cell site information.
When you say it's routed to voicemail, who has the actual system of the voicemail? Is it your company at a server somewhere, or is it the phone
Look
itself?
away.
Sprint, the company Sprint, we have a server that provides voicemail.
T-Mobile.
And the call records will show when an inbound phone call is routed to voicemail accordingly.
And then the last cell, what does that mean?
That indicates the specific cell phone tower that the target number is using at the end of the phone call.
Okay, I'm going to go down here and take a look at this entry. And it's June 4th, 2008 at 11:48 and 28 seconds. You see that one?
Yes.
In terms of the time, this time that we have here, does somebody walk around and set the clock for you, or is that set according to some other unit of measure of time? In other words, where do you get that?
Sure. The timestamp for phone calls is with respect to the switch that's fielding the phone call. So if I make or receive a phone call in the Phoenix area, it's going to represent Arizona time.
Okay. And in this case right here, for this line here, the calling number is what?
831-402-1901.
And so does that mean that the target number is the one that's making this call?
Yes.
And then the number that is being called is what?
951-536-2162.
And then if we take a look at exhibit number 362.
Don't worry, you'll get there.
Do you see the number there, the mobile directory number?
Yes.
Are they the same numbers as the one you just read to me?
That is the same 10-digit phone number I just read, yes.
So our target is calling this particular number,
Court
correct?
reporter
Correct.
must
And then
Love
it's
him
listed
he
twice.
talks
Explain to me why
intentionally.
that's listed twice. I know that in the previous example, there was a 1. In this one, there isn't. So if you don't mind explaining to me what is going on there.
Sure. This is an easier example to explain. The 10-digit phone number ending in 2162 was entered into the handset and was a number that was called. So it was the number that appears in the dialed digits column and the number that appears in the called number column.
And this one doesn't have like 1 ones in front of it. What does that mean?
Means it had the 1 ones represent when an inbound phone call is forwarded to the target number's voicemail. So since it doesn't have the 1 ones, it has nothing to do with voicemail for
Right.
the target number.
And it's not an inbound call either. It's an outgoing call, correct?
Correct.
And if we look at the next column, that's exactly what it tells us, right?
Yes.
And the date and time of that is what?
June 4th, 2008, 23:48 military time, 11:48 standard time.
And the call ended at what time?
23:51 military time, 11:51 standard time.
And how many seconds was that?
169 seconds.
So if we look right under it, it says 168. Is that the same call or is that another call?
That is the same phone call.
How do you know that's the same phone call?
If you look at the times, they overlap. You see the outgoing aspect of the phone call starting at 23:48 and 28 seconds and ending at 23:51 and 17 seconds. The second aspect of the phone call begins at the same time and ends just a second earlier.
Here's the good
because of
news.
the overlapping times.
This video's
that
total
the
is
same
40
phone call.
minutes, and there's 2 witnesses,
And
so he can't take much more.
Directly
much
underneath,
longer,
we
right?
have another entry about the same time, but about 5 minutes apart. Is that a different phone call?
That is a different phone call, yes.
And that call lasted how many seconds?
961 seconds.
And then we can go back and trace it back, and it shows us the same sort of entry that we had before, correct?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I have none, Your Honor.
Any
No cross.
questions from the jury for this witness? I see no hands. Thank you. You may step down. The state may call its next witness.
State calls Leslie Udy. Your name, please?
Leslie Udy,
And what state do you live in? Do
Utah.
you know somebody by the name of Jodi Arias?
Yes,
Is she in court today?
yes.
Where is she seated and what is she wearing?
On the far side, it looks like green.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant?
Yes.
How did you meet Ms. Arias?
The first time I met her was at a prepaid legal convention in Las Vegas.
And what month and year, if you remember?
Would have been September, I believe, 2006.
And after that, did you become friends or acquaintances with her?
Yeah, we had a few things in common. We both did photography and things, so yeah, we talked.
And did there
Yeah,
come a
thanks.
time where you actually took a trip with the defendant and Travis Alexander?
Yeah, it was a all expense paid trip by our company in Huntington Beach, and we were all there. So yeah, we spent the time together there.
And when was that?
That would have been in June of 2007.
And during that time, did you and the defendant have any conversations involving the defendant and whether or not she became concerned or involved about Mr. Alexander's use of his telephone?
She mentioned that she was concerned that he might be seeing someone else, some other girls, and I asked why she would think that, and she said that she had seen some texts on his phone.
Did she tell you what the occasion was or how it was that she was able to see these text messages on his telephone?
She said that she had looked at him while he was, I don't know if he was in the shower or asleep, but his phone was there and she looked at his phone.
Subsequent to that, did you have occasion to see her on June 5 of 2008, which was a Thursday.
Yes.
And what time of the day did you see her?
It was in the evening, probably around 7:30ish.
Was it after some sort of event?
It was actually at the event when I first saw her.
And what event was that?
It was a prepaid legal business briefing.
And what time was that event over?
It gets over about 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, we usually leave.
And at 8:30, where did you go?
I actually rode with Jodi over to Chili's where we were all going to have something to eat.
And whose car did you ride in?
Jodi's,
And where did you sit in that car?
in the passenger seat.
The front passenger seat?
Uh-huh.
Is that yes? I can't take.
Yes. Sorry.
And did you notice whether or not that car had any car mats in it?
I didn't. It was dark and I didn't notice.
In your seat, before you sat in it, did you notice whether or not your seat had any stains on it?
No,
Did you even look for stains or anything?
no.
So you and the defendant rode over to this restaurant, and did you just get up and go in, or did you have a conversation?
And we actually sat out in the parking lot for a while and talked.
And how long did you talk?
It was probably close to an hour.
And during that time, were you able to observe the defendant's demeanor, how she was acting?
Yeah,
And how was she acting?
she was acting like Jodi. Same Jodi I always talked to and knew.
And during that time, did you and she have a conversation?
Yes.
Tell me what she said and what you said.
Well, we talked a little bit about photography because she had some pictures she was supposed to send me from Huntington Beach and I hadn't gotten them yet. We talked about Travis and
what did she say about Travis?
she said that they weren't together anymore, which I kind of already knew. I already knew that. And that, but that they would always be friends and that they had joked and laughed about the fact that at some point further on, they would see each other at the prepaid legal events and their children would play together and be friends. And
When you say that their children would play together and be friends, Miss Arias and Mr. Alexander's children, or it's separate and apart?
separately,
Okay, so that she would have children and
Yeah.
Mr. Alexander would have children and their children would play
Yeah.
together? What else did she say?
she said that Travis had tried to get her to come to Arizona and that she had told him no because she was trying to create some separation there. That's why she had moved to California, is because they'd broken up and she wanted to create that separation.
Anything else about Mr. Alexander?
Not that I can recall.
Did she ever indicate whether or not they were good friends, really good friends, or just friends, or did she ever indicate anything like that?
She indicated that they would always be best friends. I do remember her saying that although they had broken up and weren't together anymore, that they would be best friends.
And after this conversation, did you guys go into Chili's?
Yes,
And where did the defendant sit?
she sat on my right-hand side.
And did you see who she sat next to?
My husband, Mark.
And during that conversation, did your husband raise the issue of any injuries the defendant may have on her hands?
Overruled, you may answer yes or no.
Yes,
And with regard to that question that he may have posed, did the defendant give an answer?
yes.
What did she say?
She said that she had broken a glass at work and cut her fingers.
Now, subsequent to that, and after Mr. Alexander's body was found, did you have occasion to receive a telephone call from the defendant?
Yes,
And about what time was it that you received the call?
it was right after she found out that he had been killed.
And so was it the wee early morning hours?
It was in the, not wee early mornings, but it was in the morning.
And by the morning, would it be like 11, 10, or is it?
It was probably sometime between 9 and 11, somewhere in there.
And at that point, what was her demeanor? What was she?
She was very upset and distraught. She was crying, sobbing.
And what was she saying?
She said that Travis was dead, that he'd been killed, and that she couldn't imagine why someone would do that to Travis, and how could they do something like that to Travis, that he was such a wonderful person, and why would anybody do that to him?
After that phone call, did you receive any telephone calls from her in the early morning hours?
Yes.
How much time between the time that you received this last call where she talks about his death and the next telephone call?
It was at about 2 o'clock the next morning.
And how do you know it was about 2 o'clock in the morning? How do you know that?
Well, I had told her in the previous conversation that if she needed somebody to talk to, that I would keep my phone by my bed. And so when it was my cell phone, when it went off, my husband made the comment of, who in the world would be calling at this time of the morning? And I looked at the clock, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning.
And what was the defendant's demeanor?
She was upset. She was crying.
And what was she saying?
She was saying that this was about the time of day that she normally would talk to Travis, that they were both night people, and that they would talk about that time, and that she had lost her best friend, and that she didn't know what to do. When she usually talked to him, and now she just didn't know what to do.
With regard to those three conversations, the one that you had after the meeting,
That's the face of somebody
the
who's
one where
like,
she informs you of the death,
my friend.
and this last one that you
You
just
were my
referenced,
friend.
in any of those three conversations, did she ever tell you that she killed
What is
Travis?
she crying
No.
about?
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Let's see where this goes.
Hi.
Oh, look at Sleepy Pants. There he is, Sleepy Pants.
You recall we spoke back in, looks like June of 11, up in Utah?
I do.
Okay. One of the things you told me during that conversation, and you're aware of what Miss Arias is being accused of doing, right?
Yes.
One of the things you told me during that conversation is that those accusations kind of didn't make sense to you based on the Jodi that you knew. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. Could you explain to us what you meant by that?
Right?
To
It's fantastic.
why she thinks that committed
Approach.
Miss Jodi, do you remember the question?
Would you say it again, please?
I will
I hope your
try.
power comes back soon.
One of the things I was reminding you of that back in June of 2011, we spoke about, you were aware of the allegations and how that was not in line with the Jodi that you knew. And what I was asking you to do is to kind of explain to us what you mean by that.
Well, the person that I had known was a very quiet, soft-spoken, gentle person. And so that person that I knew, I couldn't imagine could have done something like that.
Okay. You also told us a story, told me a story about a time when you spent the night in Mr. Alexander's home.
Yes.
And he was on the phone with someone. Can you kind of tell us that? Do you know the story I'm referring to?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Could you please share that story with us?
Sustained.
I'm not asking for specific, can we approach? Judy, I believe I was asking you to relay for us a story about a night you spent in Mr. Alexander's home when you were there or in Arizona for a business meeting. Could you do that for us now?
Oh, boy.
I came to Arizona for business, and Travis was always, saying, come stay with, if you come down here, come stay with me. I was at his home. Oh,
You may continue the story, but don't tell us anything that he said to you.
okay. I was staying at his home, and I woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning, came out to go down to the kitchen to get a drink of water, and Travis was sitting on a big beanbag chair right there outside of the bedroom doors.
Okay. And what was he doing?
He was
He was on the
talking on the
beanbag
phone.
chair.
Okay. And do you
He
know
was
about
not
what
third
time
in
this
chat
was?
tonight.
It was about 1 in the morning.
Okay.
That was
And
Ricky
do you
Watts.
remember who he was talking to?
Jokingly, I said, "Say hi to Jodi."
Mhm.
And can I say what he said?
Did you get the impression based on that that he was talking to Jodi?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked about this trip to Huntington Beach that you were on.
Yes.
Jodi was there
Yes.
and Mr. Alexander was there.
Yes.
And you were asked about some conversations you had with Miss Arias. One thing you weren't asked, though, is during those conversations, were you ever get an inkling or advised that Mr. Alexander and Miss Arias were having a sexual relationship?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Woody.
Redirect.
One of the things that you testified about was that you knew Miss Arias, right?
Yes.
And the person that you knew was quiet, right?
Yes.
Reserved, right?
Yes.
And you gave us your impression of how she was, right?
Yes.
Well, let me show you some photographs.
Oh boy.
Ma'am, I don't mean to be indelicate with you, but you say you know her.
I'm going to object to the relevance of the.
My face is going over
Approach.
Jodi right now. You can bet your bottom dollar it
May
is.
continue.
I don't mean to be indelicate. You said you knew her.
Oh, boy. I don't think
See
Court
that
TV's actually going
photograph?
to show it though.
Yep.
You know who that is?
It looks like Jodi.
Did you know anything about that?
No.
I think Court TV's going to behave.
How about exhibit number 164? Who does that look like to you?
Looks like Jodi.
Know anything about that aspect of her life?
No.
Exhibit number 162. That's her foot.
That's
And
her.
this is Mr. Alexander.
Sustained.
With regard to that,
It is. It is his witness.
ever see any of these pants
This is for everybody,
that she
though.
was wearing?
I don't recall seeing them though.
You said that you knew her really well and that she's somebody that, when you answered that question, is it your belief that she would have confided in you in certain things?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled. You may answer. Yes or no?
Yes.
She confided in you about the relationship, right?
Yes.
But she never confided in you that she killed him, did she?
No.
I don't have anything else.
Any questions from the jury? It looks like we do have one. Any other questions?
Question. Jury question. Somebody grab the
Counsel, please
jury
approach.
packet.
The juror has a question for you. How many meetings or conversations did you have with Miss Arias before Travis' death?
Oh God.
I couldn't even tell you. We spoke lots of times. I couldn't give you a number.
Basket time. Basket
Follow up in the
time.
state.
No, thank you.
Time.
Mr. Nermi.
You had several conversations with both Miss Arias and Mr. Alexander, right?
Correct.
Those photographs he took of Miss Arias, did you have any idea of that aspect of Travis's life?
No.
Thank you.
You may step down. The state may call its next witness.
The state rests.
Boom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
The
we
state
are going to
rests.
take a recess. It is going to be longer than we had originally expected. You do not need to return. until January 29th. That's Tuesday, January 29th at 10:30 a.m. Between now and then, continue to follow the admonition. I want to
You know what that
especially
means?
stress the importance of avoiding any media
We're gonna have Jodi
contact,
understand
any
eventually
media
here.
information. There may be information in newspapers, periodicals, on television. You must be very diligent to avoid any contact with any outside information about this case. Before we adjourn, has anyone seen any media information about this case whatsoever?
Before we adjourn, wouldn't you
I
ask that
see no
beforehand?
hands. Are there any questions? All right, the record will show the jury has left the courtroom. Please be seated.
What are they going to do?
Is there a motion?
There's time left.
Yes, Your Honor. We would be asking for dismissal of the charges based on Rule 20 Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure. The charge is actually, I said plural, but actually it's singular, one charge. And I think that's important to note because I think later on when I start talking about some of the case law as it relates to felony murder, that that distinction, it becomes important. That we have one count of first-degree murder charged in alternative fashions, premeditation, and felony murder. There are no underlying counts. There are no charges of burglary, no charges of assault, anything of that nature, but one count. Now, in the history of this case, there was a fair amount of litigation as it relates to the charge of felony murder, the alternative charge. After the Ms. Arias sought inquiry as to what the lesser included offenses would be, the state protested, but on March 31st, 2010, they took the position that the lesser included offenses in support of the felony murder charge, that they would be using first degree murder or any lesser included offense of first degree murder and or aggravated assault as the underlying felony for the burglary. So the question becomes, I think, as it relates specifically to this alternative charge, and I will rest as it relates to the premeditation charge just by saying they have not provided enough evidence that a reasonable jury could convict Ms. Arias as it relates to premeditation. But as it relates to felony murder, I think, again, as I said earlier, the discussion is much more viable, and I think will require some research and, some reflection by this court, because the case law is so, it sits on both sides of the fence. And the reasoning becomes circular, and I think the specific facts are thus important. Beginning by drawing the court's attention to ARS 131105A2 related to first degree murder as a felony murder, it states that is in the course of and furtherance of the offense or the immediate flight therefrom. Well, I don't think any of the facts that have been delivered in court during the state's case in chief have demonstrated any of this. I think we can certainly agree that it had nothing to do with the immediate flight. We can disregard any discussion of that. It has to do whether or not this was in furtherance of the offense. The problem becomes, as I said, rather circular, with law leaning on both sides of that circle, I should say. Because what we're saying and what the state has said in previous pleadings, and I would note that when this issue came up, Judge Duncan said perhaps this was an issue better taken for Rule 20, I believe. So I don't want there to be any arguments that this is res judicata as it relates to this issue, because the state now has presented their case. They have presented nothing as it relates to any other underlying felony. Nothing. The argument will likely be that she remained in the home unlawfully when she attacked Mr. Alexander, because there can be no legitimate dispute about the fact that she was there willingly. We know this because of the photographs the state just showed. We have photographs that show that Miss Arias was certainly an invited and willing guest in Mr. Alexander's home at 12:45 in the afternoon, or approximately around that time. We have photographs indicating that
So she didn't crawl through
Miss
the doggy
Arias
door that
was
day.
a welcome guest in the home until after 5 that afternoon. We know that something changed at that point in time that is depicted on those cameras. So the question becomes, as it relates to
Yeah,
felony
before is it-
murder, were
okay.
these actions taken to facilitate some other crime? No. It's pretty clear. Either based on the facts that the state has presented in the course of their case in chief, this is either a case of premeditated murder or it's not. That's really it. Because these are the same events. What would she be furthering? What other crime would she be furthering when she supposedly, by the state's theory, depending on what you believe, shot first, then stabbed,
Cameraman.
or stabbed, shot first, who knows if there'll be another version of events. But that does not
It's up to your
include
client.
another underlying felony. I think there's a couple cases that are important for the court to take note of in consideration of this motion. State v. Miles, 186, Arizona 10. State v. Martinez, 218, Arizona 421. And State v. Lacey, 187, Arizona 340. The Arizona Supreme
She looks more like her
Court,
mom than Jodi's mom looks like her mom.
also released on August 16th, and forgive me, I'm not able to give the standard site, my research this morning, State v. Hardy, CR 09-0224.
Are you a Speedwagon reference?
That was decided or announced by the Arizona Supreme Court on August 16th, 2002. And I will also cite the court because it is more than likely going to be asserted by the state. That case being State v. Moore,
Oh, but I am.
222, Arizona
You look
1,
like I'm in
that's
the wall.
2009 opinion. And what you will see is when the court reviews these cases, I think what the court will see is that there are cases on both sides related to the facilitation, the furtherance, whether or not, there's case law that talks about burning a building with or without the intent to kill, the person is still dead, that there doesn't need to be a distinct felony. But these are different. If we look at Hardy and we look at Moore, they are different cases in the fact that they entered the home. Mr. Hardy entered the home with the victim of the kidnapping in order to facilitate a crime. The argument in Hardy on appeal was whether or not that it was really meant to facilitate, the murders really facilitated, or the kidnapping facilitated the murders. And because it was separate individuals and for other reasons, because he entered the home, that argument was held not to be correct. And I think Moore is a similar case.
Puppet master.
But here we have a situation of an invited guest there for a long time, and at a moment in time, about a minute, something changes. So the essence of the argument, Your Honor, is that there was nothing facilitated at all. There was no distinct offense for this burglary, and the charge, the assertions of felony murder based on that should not stand.
Mr. Martinez.
You can't see me, Judge. I didn't do that.
Charge of first-degree murder, as indicated, can be
Hi
was
ho.
charged in the alternative premeditation and felony murder. As to the premeditation, I don't want to gloss over that. This case shows that on May 28th of 2008, approximately a week before June 4th, the defendant staged a burglary of her own home to steal the murder weapon so that she could kill Mr. Alexander.
I don't know if they were that
She then
clear
went
about that,
to
though, were they?
rent the car, not in the place that she lived, not the town that she lived, for fear of being recognized. Instead, she went to another town, 90 miles away, Redding, California. She shows up as a blonde and a male with her. When asked by the person who is renting the car to her, where are you going? She says, just around town. And as to the car, well, didn't want a red one because that was a little bit too loud. Didn't want to be noticed. The plan was already in effect, and she did not want anybody to know that she was the person that had rented that car. She finds her way down to Mesa, Arizona, where Mr. Alexander lives. And as part of this plan, this premeditation, she takes
she got the putt-putt pencil
took
out.
the
Putt-putt
license plates,
pencil.
the front and the
Putt-putt
back license
pencil.
plates off her car. She comes up with a story about some kids at Starbucks, perhaps playing a joke or a prank on her, but that clearly is not true. And so
Yeah, she
she
was
didn't
blonde.
want to be recognized when she went over to Mr. Alexander's home because she was going to kill him. In addition to bringing the gun, she also brought a knife.
I know I
And,
missed.
When she got there, she engaged in whatever conduct she engaged in. And then she began to attack him. She began to attack him after she had, in a manner of speaking, lulled him to sleep, had him in a very vulnerable position, sitting in that shower. And it is the state's position that she stabbed him first. And it's based on what the medical examiner told us, Kevin Horn, as to what would happen if the shot would have been first. We would not have had that crime scene. And so once she begins stabbing him, it's not a situation where she stopped. She killed him 3 times over.
Very
and
true.
that also can be factored in to the premeditation aspect. The premeditation here can be as long as a week, or in between the stabbings and the shootings, we're talking over a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And as the court is well aware of the law, and I won't regurgitate it and bore everybody about what the law is, that it can be done in a very quick fashion. And so this defendant kills Mr. Alexander 3 different ways. And so there is, at least for purposes of Rule 20, which is what we're talking about, evidence sufficiently substantial to warrant that aspect of the charge. As to the alternative form of the first-degree murder, the felony murder, it is the state's contention that we listed 3 that apply crimes, but the assault is the one that's most suited. When she began stabbing him, no one can debate the fact that Mr. Alexander, if he were alive, to be asked, did you really want her to be in your house when she began stabbing you? I am sure he would have said, no, I do not. I don't want her to stab me anymore. And at that point, she is no longer a guest. She's not an invited guest. Her status has changed from that of an invited guest to a murderer. And if that is the case, the assault, the stabbing that continued after that, forms the predicate, if you will, for this felony. The issue has been briefed. You have all
Volcano
that
sauce,
for you, so I
sour ale.
incorporated the reference in my argument and ask you to deny the defendant's request for a Rule 20 judgment of acquittal. Thank you.
Judge, if I may respond briefly.
You may.
As an initial matter, before I forget, I would like to certainly reserve the right to re-urge the Rule 20 motion given self-defense law in Arizona and the state's assertions, at least at this point, that a rebuttal case will be made related to the burden of proof that the state must have of overcoming Ms. Arias' claim of self-defense. But here I think, in terms of what the state just told you, I think if we read between the lines, we can see the reality that I said, that this is either a case of first-degree murder or not. This burglary charge, as has been put in the pleadings related to felony murder, is just an empty vessel in order to seek a first-degree murder conviction. Ultimately, and the state postulated this idea that Ms. Arias came to Mr. Alexander's home based on this gun theft that occurred at her grandparents' house, came to the home, and that's what we just heard the state say, with a gun and a knife. I would certainly point out to the fact that there's been no evidence that Ms. Arias brought a knife. The state has not presented any evidence of that, nor have they presented a gun. They've only made a link between a theft, the theft that occurred a week later. But then it would seem to be the case, again, that she, under the state's theory of what I just told you, that she came to Miss Alexander's home with that intent. What the state also said is that she lured him into a vulnerable position by having sex with him. So that was the intent would have been formed before she went in the house, under what this theory the state just told you. And then what they're saying is that she assaulted, I guess now they're not talking about the lesser includeds, other than assault, that she assaulted Mr. Alexander with the intent to facilitate a murder. And I would say, again, the circular reasoning of that is readily apparent. And when you look at the case law I cited, I think you will see that it is distinguishable from Moore, distinguishable for Hardy, and that the alternative theory of felony murder should not stand.
All right, the motion is under advisement.
Ooh, under advisement? What? She did what the guy for... Good grief. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Let's see here. Let me just make sure I get the right misconduct hearing. OPJ misconduct hearing. That's going to be interesting. Chris Hughes is called to the stand in a misconduct hearing. Oh, boy. Travis Alexander's friend. Yikes! That sounds troublesome. Don't you think? I do. All right. Let's see. I think I said that I was going to read some stuff. I do have some stuff. I can read some more I can read some more journals. This is going to be fun. Oh, I'm going to leave the wig on the wall. Oh gosh. All right. This is going to be fascinating. Okay, let's see here. All right. Well, here we go. In the words of our favorite Mario. Let's see. Do I have music? Actually, I think we're going to do something like this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. February 26, 2008. Well, not a bad start to the week. It was a long drive back from Las Vegas. Travis was being extremely impatient, but eventually he got over it. So, I raced home, freshened up, and headed over there with Tootsie Pops. Because Tootsie Pops, Jesus. Okay. He makes me want to be so naughty. How do we go from one side to the other? And naughty we were. We went all the way again. Are they like 15? It was different this time. He was different. He was tender and sweet and loving. He said he'd been planning and hoping for this. He said he wanted to save the moment and make it last as long as possible. He asked me if I felt guilty, and I said yes. Then he told me he wanted this because he wanted us to always have something special. Perhaps it was like closure for both of us. I know he really likes Mimi. We gotta find a different. Let's find a different song. How's that one? No, that's way too serious. There we go. That's better. She's probably the one, and I'm stoked for him. She seems like a great girl, and it's fresh. Therefore, our friendship wouldn't be compromised. She needn't know about our quote-unquote torrid love affair of the last 8 months, nor of last night. I just want Travis to be happy. Do you? I love him so dearly. Do you? Unconditionally. Are you sure? I know it's unconditional because I really feel happy for him this time. It's weird. I'm not freaking out. That's good. It'll help me shake the correlation with Deanna. A great girl. Of course. But I'm not like her in that respect. So it'll likely progress with me. I look forward to seeing how it goes. February 28th, 2008. A boring yet interesting day. LDS link-up is getting a little bit out of control, but it remains amusing. A day of good news and bad news. Of success and setbacks. Of clarity and uncertainty. Of laughs and tears. Of social interaction and solitude. Of indifference and depth of emotion. Of sinner and saint. What is she? Who does she think she is? Hemingway? Okay. Of light and darkness. In other words, a day of duality. That sounds like a hard rock band name. Day of Duality. I like it. Take it. Use it. Please. March 4th, 2008. Systems training, etc. Travis Alexander. Willie Muhammad flaked. That makes 2.5 flakes in the last 3 weeks. Wow, we're counting 2.5 flakes. What's half a flake? How can you halfway flake something? That's what I want to know. I'm bored. I'm here because I want a way out. And I really believe that PPL is a genuine opportunity. A genuine MLM. Plan A, 40, 40, 40. Years, 40 years, 40 hours, 40% of income for retirement. 40, okay. Qualities I want in a husband. Not necessarily in order of importance. Oh, okay. This is gonna be fun. Shall we change the music? 1. LDS. 2. Served a mission. 3. Strong, solid testimony. 4. Deep knowledge of the gospel. 5. Tall. She made it 5 before she got to her favorite nonsense. Okay. 6. Handsome. 7. Deep voice. 8. Charismatic. 9. Compassion. 10. Loving. 11. Kind. 12. Understanding. 13. Open-minded. 14. Tolerant. 15. Driven. 16. Focused. 17. Entrepreneur. 18. Successful. 19. Family man. 20. Be ineligible. I think what they meant was they couldn't read it. But spouse. 21. Has his priorities in line. Me being the top one. 22. Loves animals. 23. Musical in some way. Instrument, maybe. 24. Sings to me. 25. Has a gorgeous smile. 26. Calm. 27. Respected. 28. Good speaker. She is not picky at all, y'all. I don't know why it took me this long to say this, but she is at 28. 28. Good speaker. 29. Personally developed. Okay. 30. Well read. 31. Likes to read. Something tells me we might not be well read ourselves, Jodi. 32. Romantic. 33. Athletic. Fit. 34, thick hair. Thick hair. 30, we're still going. 35, smooth skin. 36, social. 37, likes to travel. 38, passionate. 39, funny, humorous. 40, good hygiene. 41, is not afraid to let the world know we are together. Because if they don't, I will. 42, outstanding dad and father. Oh my good gracious. Whew. Jodi. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's what I want to know. What are you doing? She wasn't picky, y'all. She didn't have anything on. Can I ask? And you all can either you can share or not. Obviously, this is a challenge by choice, friends. If you ever made your list of qualities in a fella or a lady or anything, how long was it? That's what I want to know. How long was that list? Or how long would the list be if you hadn't? I want to know. That's what I want to know. It feels higher than her standards. Ooh. I thought her standards were like in 3 to 4, 3 standards of her. I like that answer. Unattainable, not that long. Good, Shireen, I love you. A good sense of humor and alive. Breathing. Oh, mine would be more of 5. Definitely not. That's, yeah. Oh, Adam, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Never made a list. A pulse and not cringe. I like it. I like it. 3. Now, yeah, right. I hope she met. I guarantee you she doesn't hit that entire list, right? Oh, good grief. Well, that's fun. That's fun. Let's see. Melinda said, I've been married for 21 years and my list must not have been very long. Oh, well, congrats on being married 21 years. That's for sure. You're right. I don't. Can't say that I ever have. Can't say that I ever will. No, correction. I can say I never have, and I can say I never will. It's a big enough donkey tour. It's true. Oh, we just did a little bit of reading, a little bit of Jodi. She gave a 32, 33 quality list of things she's looking for in a man. Oh, good grief. All right. Let's get back to this. Let's see what's next. I am fascinated to figure this out. Just utterly fascinated.
The record will show the presence of the defendant and all counsel. The jury is not present. Mr. Nurmi.
Yes, Your Honor. For purposes of this hearing, the defense would call Gus Searcy.
All right, Mr. Searcy, please come forward.
So this is a misconduct hearing.
Right up here, sir.
Can you spell your last name, please?
S-E-A-R-C-Y.
Raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Sir, please walk around and have a seat right over here. You may proceed.
Oh, this might not be
Mr.
part of
Searcy.
Good morning.
misconduct.
Do you know that lady there at the far right-hand part of the
I
table?
don't think so.
Yes,
Who is she?
Jodi Arias.
And how do you know Miss Arias?
I met her through time when she was in prepaid legal, now
Okay.
Legal Shield.
Okay. And how long have you been involved in Legal Shield or prepaid legal?
About 7.5 years.
Okay. And through that time, I would assume you've come to know lots of people within that company, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know an individual by the name Chris Hughes?
Yes.
Okay. Is he a friend, acquaintance, a business associate? How would you describe your relationship with him?
Business associate, friends.
I got
Okay.
you.
Your Honor, if I may approach? Approach you with what's been marked as exhibit number 1 for the purposes of this hearing. You take a look at that and tell me if you recognize what you see there.
Yes.
And what is that, sir?
It's a copy of the text message that he sent me.
No objection. And I would request that this be entered in as an exhibit under seal since it has Mr. Hughes' phone number on it. I don't want to display it or what have you.
All right, Exhibit 1 will be admitted for purposes of this hearing only and will be maintained under seal.
What's wrong? Now, hold on.
Now,
Kiss from a rose? Don't put it under him.
Your recollection at all.
Ridiculous.
Do you recall, well, let me back up again. Do you recall contacting my office in early January?
Yes.
And subsequent to that, you and I spoke, I believe, on the 12th of January, correct?
Correct.
On when did you receive that text message? Do you remember what day? Or if you need to look at it, please do.
Yep. Whoa.
The next day.
The next day, the 13th?
Correct.
Okay. If I may approach again, Judge. Yes.
I can use my phone. It's on my phone. If you want to keep that one.
Why don't you do me that favor just for clarity, since this picture is a little blurred. We will be submitting a clear picture, Your Honor, at a later time.
Are you waiting for me?
I am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is he
What
on
are
his
you
phone?
waiting for me for?
Did you find it?
Oh, no, I was just going through there.
Okay. I'll let you find it before we proceed.
But Lady in Gray, it's under seal because this is a separate hearing out of the earshot of the jury. I think this is a combination of a misconduct trial /
Okay.
All right. Let me ask you that question again, just for sake of clarity in terms of what I see.
Yeah, it's
here. Would you
misconduct
see here?
hearing.
What day did you receive that text message?
It says here on January 15th.
Okay, January 15th. So that would be 3 days after we spoke, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the subject matter, or what was Mr. Hughes asking of you in this text message?
It said, heard you are on Jodi's witness list. Any idea why?
And did you end up speaking with Mr. Hughes about this?
Well, my response was, call me too much to text. And he said, cool, after 12:30. So then he goes another more text back. But anyway, he called me later that day.
Okay. And the two of you spoke, correct?
Yes.
And what did do you have any knowledge of how he knew you were on the witness list?
Well, I asked him because I didn't know I was on the witness list. And so I asked him, how did he know that? And he said something to the effect that he was working with the prosecution and they had talked to him and he was watching TV and he feeds them information or something like that. And so I was pretty surprised because I had no idea what was going on.
Okay. Did he tell you, when he said he was working with the prosecution, did he tell you who specifically he spoke to? Did he say the prosecutor? Did he say the police? Whom did he say?
Oh, the prosecutor, yes.
I know that his son
Did he
passed
mention him by
away
name or
like
just as the prosecutor?
a year ago, or sorry, a year. Or
I
two
honestly don't
after.
remember because it wasn't
But
that
I don't see
significant at
anything
that
that says
point. I
he
remember
died.
it was the prosecutor, but I didn't
Pretty
pay
sure he's
attention
still
to that
alive.
much.
Okay.
I was more surprised that he knew that I was going to be on the list.
Okay. And what time of the day, I think I asked you the day, but I neglected to ask you the time that initial text came in.
That was in the morning, 10:15.
Okay. And was that
Yeah, it was his
10:15?
son.
It
Yeah,
looks to me
it was
like
his son. It was a
9:15 on your
ziplining
phone.
accident,
Where were you when
like
you
a Boy
received the
Scout
text
camp.
message?
I was in the car heading to San Diego.
Okay, so you were in California?
Yes.
Okay, and would you double check that time for us?
It says 10:15 a.m.
Okay. That's when you received the first text?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have what has been marked as Exhibits 2 and 3. They demonstrate that the filing of Mr. Searcy on the witness list occurred at 8:52 a.m. on the 15th here in Arizona, and that an email went to all the parties at 8:54, also on January 15th. I would ask that they be marked as exhibits as well.
Well, they're marked, you're asking to have them admitted.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Exhibits 2 and 3 are admitted.
Mr. Searcy, I know you might have been reluctant to say this in a public forum, and I appreciate that. But did Mr. Hughes make any references to me or any other individuals involved in the case?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he
And
did.
What did he say?
I'm not gonna, I don't remember exactly the wording, but basically he was paraphrasing that you were a snake and this and that, and kind of, downgrading you for the tricks that you had done, quote, supposedly, and all that. And my comment back to him is, if you were on trial for murder, I think this is the guy you'd want defending you.
Did he advise you of where this information come from? I mean, was this his own belief? Was this what the prosecutor was telling him? Do you have any knowledge in that regard?
No, I think it was I think one of the things he had said, oh my goodness. Okay. He had said that you guys had tried to keep this off of television. Oh, no, you had to keep him, wait a minute, make this right.
Well, let me answer my specific question. Did he tell you whether this disparaging comment, did that come from information he received?
Fascinating.
Or his own opinion or the prosecutor's opinion? And I'm just asking.
I
really,
can't comment
yes
as
or
to
no.
where that knowledge or thought came from.
Okay. Your Honor, I believe that's all the questions I have.
Cross-examination.
You did receive this text message from Chris Hughes, right?
Yes.
And at that time, when you received that text message, you agreed to talk to him, right?
I didn't agree to talk
Yes
to
or
him.
no?
Did I
Doesn't
agree
your
to talk to
text,
him?
wait a minute, doesn't your text message says, call me later? And
Yes.
So you agreed to talk to him, didn't you?
Yes.
And then he called you, right?
Yes.
He missed the call, right? In other
I
words, you
feel like
missed
I'm
the call,
looking at a
right?
snake. Truly.
Maybe. I
And
think
then
so.
you
And he
called-
said, no, I called him and he texted me back, said he'd call me later.
And then he called you and you missed his call though, right? The first time, right?
Perhaps. I could check and see.
Don't need you to check. I want you to tell me what you remember right now. We can get your phone. And then after that, sir, didn't you call him
We
back?
can get it.
Yes.
And you missed him, didn't you?
Let's say yes.
Well, don't say it just to say it. That's what happened, right?
If you say so. I can look at my phone and see for sure.
I'm asking you what you know.
Well, I remember that he said he would call me later. Then he said, he called me. I called him
appreciate this
back.
for us
He
to
sent
begin
me a
with, though,
text,
now.
said, I can't talk right now. I'll call you back. So there was a little bit of going back and forth there. So the precise of who called who exactly at the right moment, I'm not exactly sure, but I can read through it on my phone if you need to.
And then you called him back and then there was a conversation, right?
Yes.
At no time did you experience any compunction about talking to him, right?
In general talking, no.
And so you did have a conversation with him, correct?
Yes.
You talked about the fact that you were both in the same business, right?
No, we didn't talk about that. We already know that.
Well, and you also talked about the fact that you were getting married. Do you remember talking about that?
Yes,
You talked about a number of other things, didn't you?
Yeah.
I talked about everything except about this,
Except the what?
except about this.
Right. And at the very end of it, there was a question about what you were going to testify to, and you deferred. You said, we're not going to talk about what I'm going to say, right?
On several occasions.
And in fact, you've attempted to call the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, haven't you?
Yeah, I tried to contact you lots of times.
And in fact, no one from the county attorney's office ever returned your call, right?
Which I thought was interesting.
Yes or no?
Yes.
They did not, did they?
No, they didn't.
And you're upset about that, aren't you?
No,
Well, isn't that what you told Chris Hughes?
no.
And do you know who Abe Abdahadi is?
Yes, I know
He
Abe.
also works for Legal Shield, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Didn't you tell him that you were upset that you had called the prosecutor's office and they hadn't returned your call?
I wouldn't say I was upset. I was surprised.
And also when you were talking to Chris Hughes about returning or calling the county attorney's office, you said something to the effect that you were
Legal Shield on
upset
it too.
and you were going to try to serve them. In other words, get back at them. Did you ever tell him that?
No,
And with regard to this conversation about the lawyers, that was the context about the comment involving Mr. Nurmi, wasn't it?
no,
In other words, you were upset with the prosecution because they weren't calling you, right?
no.
Isn't your reputation so that you want to make yourself the center of attention?
Yes.
Where do you get that from?
I'm asking you a question, sir. You don't get to ask me questions.
No,
Isn't it true, sir, that you want to use this situation so that the limelight can be focused on you?
no,
Isn't it true when you go to these PPL meetings or Legal Shield meetings, whatever they are, that they don't even want you to talk because you always want to talk about yourself? Isn't that true?
no,
And in terms of this context that we're talking about, sir, involving you talking badly about the prosecution because they hadn't returned your call, that's when you asked him about Mr. Nurmi, right?
I never spoke badly about the prosecution.
You were upset that they hadn't called you back,
I was
right?
not upset.
You
I
didn't
was
tell-
surprised.
And it was in this context about the prosecution not calling you back that the comment was made about Mr. Nurmi, right?
No,
Isn't it true also that he
It wasn't
never
me.
told you that he never even had any contact with the prosecution in the last 3 years?
that's not true.
You think he's had contact with the prosecution in the last 3 years?
I only know
Yes
what
or no?
I only know what he's told me.
I want to know what you know.
Then let me tell you.
Then tell me, did he tell you he's had contact with the prosecution in the last 3 years?
Yes,
He's told you he's talked to Juan Martinez, the prosecutor.
he didn't name a name. He said he was working with the prosecutor. He said that Mr. I don't even know people's names here, but the defense attorney had tried to get him on the witness list so that he wouldn't be in the courtroom, but it backfired because the thing was televised, so he gets to see all the information. He mentioned that he was watching the television and giving you information, and that's how it came up.
So he's saying that he's talking to me. According to you, he's talking to the prosecutor, Mr. Martinez. That's what you're telling us today, right?
That's what he told me.
That's what you interpreted that he told you, right?
I understand English pretty well.
And you're having problems with it today, aren't you?
Not that I know of.
Isn't it true that he never told you that he spoke to the prosecutor?
That's a double negative. No, it's
So,
not
what is
true.
your
Yes, it
answer
is
to the-
true.
So what's your
Wow.
answer?
No, it's not true. Yes, it is true. You asked a double negative.
Oh, that's right, and I'm
Restate the
asking you to
question.
answer it.
I object to the compound question.
Yes, please restate the question.
Did he tell you, well, do it this way. Isn't it true that he never told you that he talked to the prosecutor?
Again, I'm going to object.
Double negative.
Sir, are you saying you can't answer the question as
Not
phrased?
As phrased.
Please rephrase.
He told you he talked to the prosecutor?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Redirect.
Oh my god. This is a
Just wanna
misconduct
make it
hearing.
clear here through all the bluster.
Ooh. See, I like this.
Between the
because he's
time you
quiet about it,
spoke
right?
with Mr. Hughes on the 15th and your testimony here today, did you talk to Mr. Martinez about that conversation?
No.
The things Mr. Martinez asked you a lot about the subject matter of your phone call with Mr. Hughes on the 15th.
What's on second? And I don't know who's on
Recall
third.
that?
Yes.
Did you give him that
Angry
information?
Betty.
No.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. You may step down. Any other witnesses for today, Mr. Nermy?
Nothing for today, Your Honor.
Judge, we do have a witness.
All right.
The
Mr.
state
Martinez?
calls Chris Hughes.
The state has a witness?
Your Honor, we did not have prior notice of Mr. Hughes being called.
Judge, how could we have given him prior notice?
It's a
He
good
didn't tell us
tactic.
what this hearing was about. We have Scott Dutcher here because we thought that's what the issue was. So I think I'm entitled to call him. He's from Salt Lake City. And if he doesn't give me notice, this is what happens.
Well, that's not true. We gave him notice of Mr. Searcy according to the court's instructions days ago. He could have responded in kind with Mr. Hughes being here, and he did.
All right, I'm going to allow the state to call Mr. Hughes, and if you need a recess, I will give you a recess prior to cross-examination. Mr. Searcy, I'm going to ask that you wait outside, sir. The rule has been
So,
invoked, so you
The
will need
first
to wait
guy was
outside.
saying that there
Thank
was
you.
misconduct in his conversations
Can you spell your last
with
name,
this
please?
guy.
Hughes, H-U-G-H-E-S.
And Hughes said he was working with the
Raise your right hand.
prosecution,
Do
is
you
what I'm
solemnly
getting.
swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Misconduct, I think, is the prosecution.
right around
I
and
think
have a
that's what's
seat.
going on here. Because the defense called this. What a smarmy, smirky look on that
see.
that defense
name?
lawyer's face.
Chris Hughes.
Where do you work?
I am founder and CEO of Personal Growth Academy, and I'm an independent contractor with Legal Shield.
And in that capacity, do you have occasion to interact with somebody by the name of Gus Searcy?
I do.
And how long have
Who we
you
just
known
heard
him?
from.
6 years or so.
With regard to having a conversation with that individual in the recent past, did you have a conversation with him?
I did.
Let me show you some exhibits that were introduced.
They never talk about these things. These things are so interesting to me, truly.
And did you initiate the contact by sending him a text?
I did.
We did
With regard
interview
to
him.
that situation
On
about
Monday
sending him a
night.
text, did you have
I'm sorry you
occasion to
missed
speak
it.
with the prosecutor prior to sending him that text?
No.
Yes, did you talk to the prosecutor yesterday?
Yes.
Prior to yesterday, when was the last time that you spoke with the prosecutor?
Years ago.
How many years ago was it?
3 years ago.
And with regard to speaking to the prosecutor, have you ever had occasion in the last 3 years to place a telephone call to him?
Not one.
Have you had occasion to come visit him at his office?
No.
Any contact whatsoever in the last 3 years with the prosecutor?
No.
You did speak with him last night though, right?
I did.
With regard to this contact with Gus Searcy, what motivated you to take a look at exhibit number 1? Take a look at it. You initiated that contact by sending a text message, right?
Yes.
Did you send that at the request of anybody?
No.
Did you send that at the request of the prosecutor?
No.
And you sent it because you heard that he was on a witness list, right?
Yes.
Who'd you hear that from?
My wife.
And she told you about it, right?
She did?
And after she told you that, did she tell you to do anything?
No.
And you decided to contact him what? On your own, or is it because she said something, or what?
No, I was curious.
And what did you do?
I sent him a text, said, hey, I heard you're on Jodi's witness list. What's up?
And what happened after that? Were you able to talk to him?
Yeah, he texted me back and said, too much to text, call me.
And did you call him back?
I did later. I told him I'd call him later after 12:30.
And were you able to get in touch with him?
Not initially. I reached out to him, then he reached out to me, and
By reaching out, it means you called, right?
yeah. Mhm.
And then he called you, right?
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
And when was it that you were finally able to get in touch with him?
It's about 3 or 4, somewhere between there.
And did you call him or did he return your call when the two of you finally were able to speak?
I believe he returned my call or text, and I called him.
And during that conversation, what was the first thing that the two of you talked about?
First thing we talked about was a seminar that was upcoming. It was this past weekend, and he said, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend. I'm going to bring a bunch of my team, been promoting it, put flyers out at my event.
Okay, what else did you talk about?
Then we talked about his fiance. He gave me her bio, told me all about her, all of her professional experience.
I bet he did.
I
bet he did.
Then we talked about when they might get
right
married.
hand.
Did he tell you what her name was?
I don't recall.
Okay. What else did you talk about?
Then we talked about his house. He had a water main or a pipe or something like that break. And I don't remember when, but he was telling me about how he got some insurance money and was able to remodel his house and how great it was looking.
Yeah, Juan's being
What's
nice
his reputation
because
in the
this guy's
community?
proving the misconduct is wrong or didn't happen.
He's had varied successes, very interesting background, loves the limelight.
And
There it
any
is.
examples of how he loves the limelight that you can give us?
Well, for example,
Totally relevant.
he went on People's Court with a family member. You know, he agreed to do that and found that surprising, but that's what I mean, that sort of thing. I can give you others if you'd like others.
How about the
He went on
seminars?
People's Court.
Is he one of the last people to be called upon, or is there a problem calling upon him because of this issue?
Yes.
How so?
Well, he just, he has a unique flair. And I'll give you an example. We've had him come do several seminars and
That's one way
not
to do
several,
it.
but a few. And we've got a stage and then a curtain. And most people, when we bring a speaker in, we just introduce them. They come to the front of the room, get on the stage and speak. Gus likes to
Jennifer, he is
hide
my
behind the
favorite court
curtains
reporter.
and come out.
And so during this conversation, you now talked about his water main break. Is that the order that it was in? In other words, these matters first? Is that?
Precisely.
And then what did you guys talk about?
And then in a lull-in conversation, I said, so what's up with Jodi?
And what did he say?
He was fairly tight-lipped, but he said that he wasn't certain that he was going to be called to testify.
Did he ever discuss with you whether or not he'd attempted to contact the prosecution office to provide evidence for them?
He did on multiple occasions.
And did they respond to him?
No.
Was he happy or upset or didn't
Wendy,
care
I will
about
answer
that
your
or what?
question
He seemed
in a second.
As stated,
You know him, right?
I know him.
And you've had conversations with him and seen him to be happy before, right?
Yes.
You've seen him to be upset before, right?
Yes.
On this occasion, when you were
not
talking
ignoring you all.
about
This
the
is just
situation about the prosecutor's
spicy.
office not calling him back, based on those previous experiences, what was his demeanor?
Agitated.
So you then have this conversation and what's up with this Jodi thing, and then what else is said?
I'm sorry.
What else did you guys say? Is that all that was said?
He said that he wasn't going to say anything, but he's going to save it for the stand if in fact he was called.
Okay, what else?
He said something about, I have information that will hurt her or free her.
What?
And I said, come on, Gus. She admitted it. She killed him in cold blood. What are you talking about? You got information where you can free her. And he goes, well, not free her, but you know what I mean. I've got information that will either hurt her or help her, and it just depends.
And during this conversation,
What
at
does that
any
mean?
time,
What
did
does
you
that mean?
tell him you had ever spoken to anybody, not just Juan Martinez, but anybody from the prosecutor's office?
No.
Did you ever tell him, yes, I've been in constant contact with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office.
No.
I've been speaking with Juan Martinez on a regular basis.
No.
I'm working for the prosecution. Did you ever tell him that?
No.
So you're continuing to talk. and now he's expressed his frustration
Justice
or
isn't here
whatever it is
anymore.
at the prosecutor's office, do you then chime in about the defense attorney?
I do.
And this is when both of you are talking about the respective lawyers, right?
Yes.
And what do you say?
Well, first, he's expressing a little agitation, annoyance because he reached out to your office several times and no one ever called him back. Then I expressed my disdain for the defense and said that Mr. Nurmi was a liar because he lied.
And what time did he lie to a member of your family?
He did. He lied to my wife,
What is your wife's name?
Sky.
When did he lie to her?
Years ago, he called us for to forewarn us about something so that we could be prepared for a hearing that we were going to be subpoenaed to in regards to this situation. And he lied to her about letters that were concocted and forged by his client.
And so since then, you have held this belief, right?
Absolutely. Still do.
What, you said you still do?
I still do.
And with regard to that feeling, did you call the prosecution's office ever say, I believe Mr. Nurmi's a liar? Did you ever call them to tell him that?
I've never called your office until this weekend.
And in terms of calling your office, or where, was it our office that reached out to you, or did you call our office?
At what point?
In the beginning, wasn't it true that our office called you?
Yes.
And then you returned the call, right?
Yes.
And then arrangements were made for you to fly out here, correct?
Correct.
Was the understanding that we knew what this was going to be about or not?
I didn't know, and you expressed that you didn't know.
I don't have any other questions.
I'll explain all of this
Your
as soon as this
Honor, I'm
video
gonna
is
ask
over,
for a
y'all.
recess. Mr. Hughes referenced the letters which were precluded, as well as some emails between myself.
Hello,
and his
Ashley.
wife.
Hello, Laura.
I believe that.
Hello, Holly.
We need to obtain those until we can go forward with this hearing and the cross-examination of this witness. Again, we weren't expecting him to be here. He was obviously, I would have recognized him, but obviously that was probably on purpose that I did not see him here. So we would be asking for a recess. The other issue, I guess, is whether or not Mr. Hughes is under subpoena since he's decided to come to the state of Arizona. If not, we will serve him now.
Counsel approach, please. Mr. Martinez.
Sir, this contact between the defense attorney and your wife, Sky Hughes, do you know whether it was a telephone call or whether it was an email?
My understanding was it began with a phone call, and he said, wanted to prepare.
Well, don't tell us what he said.
Okay.
What was it? Was it a telephone call?
Telephone call followed by an
Kaylin.
email.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Pinky's up.
All right, Mr. Hughes, we need you to return tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 to continue your testimony. So you are still, I don't know if you were subpoenaed to be here or you voluntarily appeared, but you need to return tomorrow at 3:30 for cross-examination. You may step down.
Judge, we would ask a couple of things. One, we've never got clarification whether Mr. Hughes, before he departs, was served with a subpoena. If not, we have one to serve him with. Secondly,
Sorry, Nurmi, I'm blocking you, man.
We'd ask that he have no media contact in between these two, given the recess and given the nature of everything.
No contact
We'd
with,
ask him that he have no contact with the media between his testimony today and tomorrow.
yes,
And
sir.
any potential testimony at trial as well.
Yes, sir. You should not discuss your testimony or anything about this case with anyone between now and when you return. All right? You may continue.
And I would also, now that he's here in Arizona and the court order would be valid, again, that Mr. Hughes be asked not to watch any of the coverage of the trial.
Mr. Hughes, you are not to watch any media coverage of this case until you return tomorrow at 3:30. Do you understand? And I believe that the defense has a subpoena they wish to serve you with shortly. All right, Mr. Martinez. Did you have an additional witness?
Yes, telephonically, the state calls Abe Abdelhadi, if that could be facilitated.
Wait, did he call two witnesses?
Your Honor,
that
we
they
would
didn't know about?
also, for the record, further object, Mr. Abdelhadi, if I'm saying it correctly, gave an interview on television. Thus, we would think that he'd be precluded from testifying here in court. Not only that, but I do not have a copy of said interview to impeach him. Again, we had no prior knowledge of this witness or his testimony, but we are aware that he did do the media interview.
Mr. Abdulhadi was not listed as a witness for the state or the defense, is my understanding. Correct, counsel?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will give you an opportunity to prepare for cross-examination, and we will call Mr. Abdulhadi back at a later date this week. But we will call him now for direct examination.
Them beeps.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. We're sorry, the number you
Judge, the problem is that if it's an unknown number, he doesn't accept it. So perhaps the detective can call him and have him call in if you want to give me a number.
And for the record, considering the time, we do have, given what the state has sprung upon us, another potential witness. I'm checking now to see if that person is available to speak this tomorrow afternoon, or would need to speak.
This is
sometime.
fascinating.
Counsel approach, please. Mr. Abdulhadi?
Yes.
This is Judge Stevens. I need you to hold on the line for just a moment. We're waiting for Mr. Nurmi, defense counsel, to return to the
I need you to
courtroom.
hold up your right hand.
But the record will show Mr. Nurmi has returned to the courtroom.
Oh, good.
Mr. Abdulhadi, the clerk is going to swear you in.
Yes.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
I wonder
truth,
if
so
he
help
held
you
up his
God?
hand.
I do.
Mr. Martinez, you can use any microphone. He should be able to hear you.
May I have your name, sir?
My full name is Brahim Bajet Abdulhadi. Ibrahim, middle name Bahjat, last name A, B like boy, B like David, Elhadi. I go by the nickname of Abe.
Sir, who do you work for?
I work with Legal Shield as an independent contractor.
And do you know somebody by the name of Gus Searcy?
Yes, sir.
How long have you known Gus Searcy?
Approximately 6-7 years.
And during that time, or at least recently, have you had occasion to talk to him or to have him talk to you about the Jodi Arias prosecution for the murder of Travis Alexander?
Yes, but not for some time.
And with regard to that conversation, at any time, did Mr. Searcy indicate to you that he had attempted
It's
to
amazing how good the sound is
contact
for
the
that phone.
prosecutor's office to provide information for them?
Yes.
And did he tell you whether or not the prosecution ever called him back?
On several occasions, he indicated to me that the prosecution did not call him back.
And what was his demeanor at the fact that the prosecution had ignored his calls?
Objection calls for speculation. This is a phone call as well.
More foundation.
You say that you've known Mr. Searcy for how long?
Approximately 6-7 years. I believe he joined the business in 2006.
And during that time, have you had occasion to see him happy?
Yes, absolutely.
Have you had occasion to see him agitated?
Yes, absolutely.
And have you had occasion to see him upset?
Yes, absolutely.
And in regard to these phone calls that went unreturned by the
I wish Gus was
prosecution,
right behind
what
him
was
so I
his
could see his
demeanor
face.
when he was telling you about this?
It seemed to me that he was a little surprised, a little insulted. At one point, and I believe the one quote he made to me was, "Your guy hasn't called me yet." And there was a tone to that that implied a bit of disappointment.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Nurmi, do you have any cross at this point?
No, Your Honor, I'd be asking to recess till tomorrow on these points. Just ask that, I'm a little concerned because Mr. Abdulhadi, if I'm saying that correctly, is is not in our state regarding cross-examination, but I'm going to ask that so much as the court can, that he be ordered to be available for cross-examination at the time of the hearing tomorrow.
Mr. Abdulhadi, are you available tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 for cross-examination?
And Judge, that would be 2:30 PM his time.
Thank you. 2:30 your time.
Yes, I can be made available 2:30 Pacific time, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And you need to call back into the number where you called this morning. We'll put you back in the courtroom. Between now and then, I'm going to ask that you not discuss anything about this case or your testimony with anyone, including the media, your friends, your family members, and the attorneys on this case. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else for Mr. Abdulhadi this morning?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just to follow up on the event conference.
That guy in the
terms of,
background.
Reaction to the surprise witnesses the state has called. We do anticipate calling one more witness. She will not be available in the afternoon, is leaving town. We would ask that she be called, that we resume before with her testimony, her portion of the hearing at 10:30 tomorrow morning before she leaves town, and then we can proceed with trial from that point on. I think it should be brief.
And who is it that we are talking about?
Haha, don't
Perhaps
you
I'll
wish you
have
knew?
her come out of the witness room.
All right, counsel. 10:15 tomorrow for your witness, because I would like to start with the jury at 10:30. So we will have your witness testify at 10:15. All right. That's all for today.
Oh, it's so spicy. It's so good. Holy cow, y'all. Oh, geez. Okay, listen. For those of you who showed up while that was happening, I think I've got this summarized now. I think I've got this. We haven't finished it yet, but I've lost it. Okay. So, this video was a misconduct hearing about the prosecution. Gus Searcy, and I'm going to remove the banner. Gus Searcy was the first one on the stand who looks a lot like, you are correct, Wallace Shawn. That Wallace Shawn from Princess Bride, as you wish. And his testimony stated that Chris Hughes, who was the second one to testify in that video, was having multiple conversations with the prosecution. Now, Chris Hughes gets up on the stand and says, that's not true. And then Abe calls in and says, not true. And during this entire time, prosecution is attempting to say that this is far from being accurate. Gus is looking for his 15 minutes of fame. He is out there. He is loud. It's all about him, etc. And I am inclined to believe him. Because Chris Hughes got up on the stand and did the testimony and said his phone call with Gus was literally all about him. The reality is this, assuming everybody's telling the truth, Gus wanted to be called by the prosecution to get up on the witness stand to testify something that he had that would either help or hurt Jodi. I don't know what that means. I'm not quite sure how it could do one or the other, which tells me that he's going to alter depending on how he feels that day. And because the prosecution didn't call him back, he decided to basically do this and say, hey, this person's been talking to the prosecution, so he could get up on the witness stand. And so none of it's so silly. Anyway, but who is Gus? I will show you Gus. Let me show you. I'll just show you a quick clip of this Gus gentleman. And defense did call him in order to levy this misconduct thing. But this is Gus. Gus is exactly what you think he'd look like. I can't. Gus works for prepaid legal. All of these people, the 3 people that they called for this misconduct hearing, all work for prepaid legal. So this guy, I can't look at his face anymore, y'all. Can't look at his face anymore. But they all work for prepaid legal, and apparently this was the conversation that was going around. But Gus is levying the fact that there was misconduct on the prosecution's part, but he's just looking for his 15 minutes of fame. It's just wild to me that this is like even a thing. And now these are out of order. Why are these out of order? Gus Searcy's recalled. Let me just make sure that this is Chrissy's cross. Okay, we're these videos are out of order, but I'm glad I noticed that. It's just fascinating. And so here's the thing at the end that was so damn spicy, is that prosecution called Chris Hughes to the stand, but defense didn't know about it. Prosecution said they didn't know about this hearing that was going to be called. Defense says, well, we told him like a week ago this was going to happen. He could have responded in kind, saying that Chris Hughes was going to be on the stand so that I could prepare a cross. So they didn't prepare a cross because they didn't know Chris was going to be there. They also didn't know Abe was going to be there. And so at the very end, when Kirk said that he had one more witness for this, and why am I blanking? Like, I'm saying prosecution and I'm totally blanking on his name. Why am I blanking on his name? We've said it a billion times in this chat. And like 10 of you are going to say, it's this. Juan Martinez? Juan, thank you. All right, go on. So he said we have one more. Kirk said we have one more. All the ones. I know. Noob mistake. That's what that is. Kirk said we got one more witness. Juan said, are we going to be able to hear about this, who this witness is? And Kirk said, I think I'll just have her come out of the witness room, just as like a dig to Juan. It was amazing. It was insane. That was fun. Let's watch part 2, shall we? I think this is the next day.
Please come back and take the stand. You are still under oath. Do you understand? Record will show the presence of the defendant and now all counsel.
The defendant.
Mr. Nermi, you may cross-examine.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I want to show you.
What happened in the morning? Nothing? I am fascinated to see where this goes.
Defendant's Exhibit 11. May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
And tell me if you can verify, is that your cell phone number?
It is, yes.
Okay. And was that the initial text, the text you sent to Mr. Searcy?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, I'm not going to ask you to make them public, but I'm going to approach with a piece of paper, and I'd like you to write down your wife's cell phone and your current home phone for me. Could you do that?
Sure. I did.
This is gonna go.
And you're done?
Done.
Thank you, sir. And these are both current?
Yes, I don't have a home phone.
Okay. And Your Honor, when marked, I would ask that the exhibit be admitted under seal.
Exhibit 12. Any objection from the state?
No.
All right, Exhibit 12 will be admitted for purposes of this hearing only.
For real?
In your testimony yesterday, Mr. Hughes, you told us that you had not had any conversations with Mr. Martinez until the night prior to your testimony. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you did not speak with him until January 27th of 2013?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when he asked you to come out here?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't recall if it was him. Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't know if you were done with your answer or not. You said yes?
Yes, I can't recall if it was him or someone from his office. but
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And what did that person, whoever you spoke to, whether it was Mr. Martinez or someone from his office, what did they tell you?
That they may need me to testify, something to that effect.
Okay. And did they tell you the reason?
No, they said that they may or may not need me.
Okay. And at some point in time on the 28th, you spoke to, well, let me ask you this. How were the travel arrangements made?
Through his office, through Philip, I believe.
Okay.
Worked with me on the arrangements.
And you had a plane ticket and you flew out there that same day or the next day?
Same day as what?
Same day as the initial contact, the 27th.
I'm sorry, ask the question again?
You were contacted on the 27th, right?
Yes,
Okay, that would have been the day before you testified, which was yesterday, the 28th.
yes.
Okay. Did you fly out the same day or did you fly out the next morning, the morning you testified?
I flew out I got here Sunday night.
Okay. So Sunday, the 27th, you arrive here. When do you speak to Mr. Martinez?
When I got here,
Well, is that when you spoke to him? Did you speak with him on the phone prior to getting here? I'm asking.
yes, I believe I did. But it was him's office. I don't recall.
Okay. Let me be more specific. Did you talk to Mr. Martinez about your testimony, the testimony you were going to give the following day or that same day?
He inquired about Gus and the conversation
Okay.
that we had.
And when did he do that?
We met Sunday night.
Okay. And where was that?
He came to my hotel.
Okay. And the two of you had a conversation?
Yes,
And how long was that conversation?
about 20 minutes.
Okay. And prior to that, tell me about what was discussed during that conversation.
About my phone call with Gus.
Yes.
Okay. Did
No,
you inquire
none.
about any text messages or anything you
Correct.
might have sent to Gus?
Yes.
Okay. And tell us what you described to him about the phone call you had. Well, let me ask you this. Let's start with the text message because that's when the contact began, right?
Yes.
Okay. Your testimony here yesterday was that your wife advised you that Gus was on the witness list.
She told me that he was, yes.
Okay. How did she know?
Someone from the prosecution's office called her and asked if she knew Gus Searcy.
Okay. To your knowledge, was that Mr. Martinez or was that someone else from his office?
It was not Mr. Martinez.
Okay. And how do you know this?
My wife told me.
Okay. Had your wife had any contact, to your knowledge, with anyone from the prosecutor's office in the last year?
Yes,
Okay. To your knowledge, what were those contacts?
just inquiring if she knew a certain person.
Certain one person or several people?
I don't know the conversations that they had, so I'm not sure. She just mentioned that I know that someone had called more than this recent time.
Okay, so there'd been more than one contact between your wife and the county attorney's office, right?
Yeah, over the last 4 years, yes.
Over the last 4 years, okay. How about since trial began? Had someone from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office contacted your wife?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know if, I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, I know about this instance with Gus, yes, for sure.
okay,
Yeah, but I don't know if it was during trial. I don't know how many more there were during trial,
Okay,
if at all.
if at all. So you would, as your wife has not told you about any contact from the county attorney's office? Or speaking with them or speaking with other witnesses since the trial
Well,
began?
it just so happens we have your wife.
Is that what you're telling us?
Well, you just threw witnesses in there, so you need to clarify the question.
Okay, so she spoke to them about witnesses after the trial started. That's what you're telling us, right?
About Gus Searcy, yes.
Okay, and
They inquired about him.
other witnesses?
I don't know.
But they did, over the course of time, inquire of your wife about other witnesses, right?
I don't know about witnesses, but certainly people in relation to this case.
Well,
People that we've known, friends that we've had.
a few moments ago, you said it was witnesses. She consulted with them about witnesses.
I don't know if it was specifically witnesses or not, but she definitely has had conversations with them like she's had conversations with you.
Okay. As it relates to your wife's conversation, do you know if she had any conversations with Mr. Martinez directly?
I don't know that.
Okay. When you told Gus that you were working with the prosecution, correct?
I don't recall using those words now.
Okay. That you were watching the trial?
Yes, I did tell him we were watching the trial, correct.
And that you were speaking with the prosecutor about things you saw in trial in case anything was inaccurate, right? That's what you told him.
No, I told him that my wife is very interested in this and that she's watching the trial looking for BS.
Okay. Has she made contact of this supposed
Aren't we all?
BS to the prosecution's office?
You can ask her.
Okay, we will.
And we will. We shall. Oh, we shall.
Now,
I'm
there
so
were a
jealous you can
couple
pull
of
that watch off.
things I want to clarify. You said that you haven't spoken to the prosecutor for about 3 years. That was your testimony yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. Does that include other people from the prosecutor's office before
I
you're
feel like
talking
it's
about
just
this travel?
indignant.
Or were there conversations with people from the prosecutor's office, not just Mr. Martinez?
I have not had a conversation
like
with
she tried to set
anyone
this
from
up.
prosecution up until this point.
Okay.
You know
Up
what I mean?
until the travel arrangements on the 27th,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. You made a couple other comments yesterday. You made a comment that there were some letters that were proven to be forged or false, right?
Yes.
On what do you base that knowledge?
They weren't admitted into this trial.
Okay. That's how you
Experts have looked at them.
That's how you concluded that. Did someone from the prosecutor's office tell you that?
Tell me what?
That these letters were forgeries or fakes? Is that what
We've
happened?
been following the trial very, very closely.
Did someone from the prosecutor's office speak to your wife about this?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So this conclusion you made that the letters are fake is entirely based on, not on an actual knowledge that they're fake, but just on the idea that they weren't admitted, right?
No, the letters are fake. I know the letters are fake, same way you know the letters are fake.
Mr. Hughes, let me show you. And I suspect, I understand, given the subject matter of these letters, that you would hope that they are fake. I get that.
Chris Hughes hasn't testified yet. I think he is a friend of Travis's. They're all part of prepaid legal.
I want to show you
But we've
what's
gone from
been marked
misconduct
as
to him
exhibit number 4. Why
Doing conspiracy thoughts about letters. This
don't
is
you read that to yourself?
fascinating.
See if you recognize it.
I do.
Have you read that before?
I have.
And when did you read that?
The day you sent it to my wife.
Okay. And your wife, I'm going to show you this so it's
Yeah.
not
Jody's attentive because if misconduct is found,
broadcast. Here, if I may approach again, Your Honor.
you know what I mean? Like, she has an interest in this part. And of course, it benefits her if this happens. So, of course, she's totally interested.
That is an email address associated with your wife.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that email that she sent that to me?
Yes.
Okay.
You want both?
Both is fine. Thank you, sir. The last document was Exhibit 4. The prior was Exhibit 9.
Thank you.
On the last document. Now, the supposed fakeness or the forged of these documents that you're asserting here today, and that you claim I know were fake, did anyone advise you before you made these contacts with Mr. Searcy and said these things that there was actually an expert who took a look at these letters and concluded that this letter that I just showed you, dated January 21st, 2007, Exhibit 4, was in fact, it was highly probable that it was authored by Mr. Alexander? Are you aware of that?
Restate your question.
Were you aware that an expert concluded that this letter, while you're going around telling people it was fake, that an expert concluded that it was highly probable that Mr. Alexander wrote this letter?
No, I'm not aware of that, but I'm aware that you said that it was 100% proven and that you had irrefutable evidence that the letter was authentic.
And you're saying, and we never spoke about it, right?
You told my wife that.
Okay. And these letters, I would say, and you knew Mr. Alexander for quite some time, right?
Since 2001.
Okay. I would think, and you were a close friend with him, right?
Yes.
Knew him very well.
Yes.
And the same can be said about your wife, right?
Yes.
Okay. When she received these letters, she said, no, that didn't sound like Travis, did she? Is that what she told me? We can read it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She said, wow, I knew he had issues, but not these.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for your consideration and giving this to us ahead of time. We really appreciate it. Right?
Yes.
She went on to say that we are obviously freaking out. What ages did he prefer?
And object to this portion of him reading this. Clearly, those letters have been shown to be forged by the defendant, and the fact that he's reading them is inappropriate.
That's not
Counsel
true.
approach, please.
In in June of 2010,
So, like,
based on your wife's response, and she shared that letter with you.
So I didn't know
based on
about
what
these
you said
letters.
Before she shared that letter with you
Obviously, I didn't know a lot
sometime in
about this
June
trial.
of 2010, right?
Which letter?
but I'm getting
The
what
letter
they're
I
about.
showed you earlier.
Yes.
If Jodi wrote them, but says that they're from him,
She shared that with you at that point in time, and I'm sure you discussed it,
she's
right?
also manipulative.
Okay.
And so,
And based
where
on
we
the
may have gone with it, and
emails I
their expert,
received, it would
if he
seem
did say
that
that they're
it was believed to be true, right?
For a few minutes, yes.
Okay.
true,
What
I don't
changed your
know.
mind?
Well, first of all, the only reason she believed it is because of what you told her. After analyzing it, looking at it, it didn't add up.
Kathy's defense attorney.
And conversations with the prosecutor, perhaps?
No.
Well, you just said it related to them being inadmissible. That would have happened months later, right?
What are you saying?
You said that you knew they were fake because, or you were asserting they were fake because they weren't admitted through a hearing.
I think this.
That's one reason. The other
goes
reason
into
is
the
we looked
whole
at it and it didn't make any sense, didn't add up.
Filing
And it
of
was
Travis.
inconsistent with Travis's behavior.
That he was a
What
pedophile.
was that last sentence, sir?
It was inconsistent. We've seen a lot of his letters. None of them are dated. It just doesn't make any sense. The time frame doesn't make
Alexander.
sense. The calendar doesn't make sense.
Thank you for being a member for a month.
The calendar didn't make sense. The date didn't
I'm
make
happy you
sense.
found the channel too.
It was her reconstructing a story.
That was your,
That was my
Personal
assessment
handwriting.
and that was my wife's assessment.
okay.
The day we got the letter.
Now, you also testified that you believed that the reason we had placed you on the witness list, we being the defense, had placed you on the witness list, was to keep you out of the courtroom, right?
Could you,
Overruled.
could you ask the question again?
You testified yesterday that of your belief, or you asserted that the reason you were on Miss Arias's witness list is because, only because, to keep you out of the courtroom.
I
right?
don't.
Well,
so
yeah, I
torn.
felt that way.
Okay.
Yes.
You felt that way. Yesterday you said it as if it was fact.
Yeah. Well,
Well, who gave you that information, Mr. Hughes?
what information?
This idea that we put you on the witness list in order to keep you out of the courtroom?
Because when we had a hearing with your client before, we were asked to leave the courtroom. So I just assumed that if we came back to trial, that you would have us excused from the courtroom. So we deduced that from our experience with you in the past.
But there be several other reasons to call you as a witness, wouldn't there?
What are you saying?
In January of 2007, you and your wife engaged in some correspondence with Mr. Alexander where you explained to him that he was being abusive to Jodi Arias, right?
Objection relevance as to that portion, does that have anything to do with the prosecutor and this witness who haven't spoken in 3 years?
Approach.
Mr. Hughes, I'm going to show you.
I'm glad it
an
was
exhibit that has
good.
been marked. Exhibit
I wanna see
number
pictures.
5. If you recall, just a few moments
Good night.
ago,
Thank you for everything.
I referenced some emails.
Thank you.
Regarding, between you
Also-
and Mr. Alexander about how he treated Miss Arias, and I'd like to reproach, Your Honor. Could you please read the portion of the email that you wrote to him?
Okay.
Reading comprehension, sir. I'm gonna have to go look at those pictures, Kathy.
Am I just reading this first part or is there more?
No, sir, the entire portion of the email that you responded, I believe it's more than one page.
Okay.
I believe your portion begins on page 3.
Do you have the email that began this conversation? I'm trying to find the context. I don't see it.
Your response on 13107 in its entirety is listed below. Is listed beginning page 3.
No, my question is, where's Travis's email to me? that began this conversation.
Sir, I'm asking you about your response.
And then he had the right to ask for the context of this, if he's going to be attempting to be impeached.
We just had an objection to Mr. Alexander's email being brought in. Now the state is saying they want it brought in.
No, I'm saying he's entitled to read it, which is different.
Well-
Mr. Murray, do you have the email?
That begins on page 1 of 6 on 1/31/2007. It's here. If you look at page 1, it says Chris. That's Mr. Alexander's response to you. Signed Travis. And then your response begins on page 3.
Carmen.
Now, what I'm asking for is I see here, I start talking to Travis, and I'm obviously talking about something, and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Really?
Well, why
Sir?
don't you go ahead and review the portion that I asked you to review?
I'd like to know the context of this.
Why don't
email.
you review the portion I asked you to review?
I can do that.
Yes, you should.
And what was the part you wanted me to review specifically?
The whole thing,
You done
sir.
reading your portion?
No, I'm not.
Okay, we'll keep going then.
Okay.
Oh, man, now it's being belligerent.
sir.
It's just, what is happening?
The subject matter of this email related to how Mr. Alexander was treating Miss Arias, right?
Part of it?
And how it wasn't in a very kind way, right?
I don't recall. I'd really like to read the first part of the letter, what I said to him.
The
dude,
portion
this is
you
not how this
just
works.
read,
Yes.
you expressed to Mr. Alexander, and I know you're trying to wiggle out of it with context, but the ultimate reality is,
And second, he's asking about the content.
It's not mischaracterization, though.
All right.
no, you asked summation, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not asking specific statements, I'm asking a summary of the substance.
All right. Begin again. Mr. Hughes, do not answer the question until the prosecutor has an opportunity to make an objection. Go ahead, Mr. Merriman.
The subject matter of this email, the portion that you read just now, dealt with how Mr. Alexander, in general, wasn't treating Jodi right, correct?
And again, to violate your order, he's trying to get in what the email says. He can be asked, it deals with treatment between the two of them. He doesn't have to characterize it.
All right. I'm going to overrule the objection to that specific question. You may answer.
Yes.
You also had conversations with this man here, right? Detective Flores?
Yes.
And during those conversations, do you recall Detective Flores saying, you could see Travis losing it with Jodi and throwing against her wall, right?
To relevance.
Uh,
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me ask you, Mr. Hughes, what was your reason for contacting Mr. Searcy?
I was curious.
Curious about what?
Curious why he was on the defense list.
And your reason for telling him that I was a quote-unquote snake. Why did you tell him that?
I don't recall calling you a snake, but I did say something to that effect.
Okay. And what was your point of doing that?
you looked wonderful.
He was talking about the prosecution. I was talking about the defense.
Were you attempting to
Don't worry,
dissuade
me
him
either.
from cooperating with Miss Arias?
No,
Were you attempting him to caution him about me?
no. Just
So
expressing my
this,
opinion.
expressing your opinion. No reason for doing it, right?
No.
That's your testimony? None. Okay. If you were called to testify on Miss Arias's behalf, would you be happy about
Yeah.
that?
No, I would not.
Why not?
Because she murdered my friend in cold blood.
Would you cooperate?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Now, you made the comment during your testimony that Mr. Searcy
So mad right now.
was a man who liked the attention of the media, right?
Limelight, yes.
Okay. But specifically, you even mentioned the attention of the media, right?
I don't know that I said that.
Okay.
I don't recall.
You gave interviews with the media, right?
One,
Okay. Several hours, right? The CBS?
48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. To your knowledge, you haven't seen Mr. Searcy interviewed anywhere about this case, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay.
He was irrelevant.
Redirect.
Sir, with regard to this case, before you were here in the Phoenix area on Sunday, when was the last time you spoke to the prosecutor, Juan Martinez?
3 years ago.
And were there ever any emails exchanged between you and Mr. Martinez during that 3-year period?
None whatsoever.
You indicated that you would not be happy to testify in this case on behalf of the defendant, but if you were subpoenaed, would you comply with the process?
Of course.
I don't have anything else.
Thank you. You may step down.
Thank you. You want these?
Just leave those right there. Thank you. Counsel?
Your Honor, given the information elicited here, we would be requesting an out-of-state subpoena for Sky Hughes to continue our pursuit of the discussion she had with the county attorney's office and how that affected their disposition towards these proceedings.
Submit the paperwork. I will sign the order. Is there anything else for today?
Well, Judge, I believe we do have
Good point.
Mr. Searcy here to testify in rebuttal, as well as I believe, if I understand correctly, Mr. Abdullah is appearing telephonically today as well.
How about he's
Are you
just on
ready
the
to
phone?
do cross-examination of Mr. Abdullah at this time?
I am.
All right, we need to get him on the line. Mr. Abdullah,
Yes, miss.
this is Judge Stevens.
Oh, hey, hello?
You are still under oath. Do you understand?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Nurmi, you may proceed with cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Excellent.
Yesterday, when you spoke with Mr. Martinez in court, you testified about going to be interviewed by Mr. Martinez, right?
On the phone or in person? I'm sorry. Can you clarify?
Well, let me ask you this. How many conversations did you have with Mr. Martinez?
A few over the last several years.
Okay. And were they all over the phone or were they all in person? How did that come to pass?
There were, I think, 2 on the phone and then 1 in person in 2011.
Okay. 2011, you said you spoke in person. And was that here in Phoenix?
Yes, sir. I had business in the area and I made myself available to the prosecutor if he did need to speak to me, and he asked that I come in, and I went in and we talked.
Okay. And do you remember what month this was in 2011, sir?
I believe it was July, mid to end July. I had an event in Phoenix.
Okay. Tell us about the conversation you had with Mr. Martinez. And it was him personally?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us about the conversation you had with him in July of 2011.
Specifically, do you have a question in mind? We were there for about 45 minutes together.
Okay. Well, tell us what you discussed in those 45 minutes.
Okay. Well, very generally, we talked about what I knew, what I heard, or had spoken to Jodi about. He had a list of phone numbers that he was corroborating phone conversations that I had said I had with Jodi, and he was marking the numbers in accordance with the dates that I had thought that we had those conversations to match up to make sure that I was telling the truth. I guess he wanted to see that, there was actually a phone call to her or from her to my phone number kind of a thing. And then just talked about my general feeling about what was going on or what had happened and where I was and what I had thought about it.
Okay. And I take it then this was the only in-person meeting you had with him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you had telephonic conversations with him before, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many of those?
I believe 2.
Okay. And how many subsequent to July of 2011?
You mean after July of 2011?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, maybe 1 or 2.
Okay. So you had 2 before July 2011 and 1 or 2 after, right?
Right.
Okay. In terms of the July 2011 conversation, did you discuss your relationship with Miss Arias?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you remember telling Mr. Martinez about it?
Nothing different than I had said in that interview that you seem to have watched. Point being was that we hung out a little bit and chummed around and got to know each other pretty decently. We had gotten a lunch and we had gotten a dinner. And specifically, I went into some of the details of the dinner, what some of our conversation was. The call that I received from her a couple of days after that dinner, where she had informed me that she was getting back together with her ex-boyfriend, which at that time I thought was the gentleman she had explained to me that she lived with in Palm Springs. It was the first time that I had heard that she had ever gone out with Travis. I did not know that prior. When she explained that to me, that's when I asked her if that's who led her to Mormonism, because that was one of the conversations that we had at dinner, because we walked around and went to a bookstore and religion came up, and she had said that she was dabbling in Mormonism. So a couple of days later, I thought it was interesting that I knew Travis was a Mormon, so I thought it was interesting that she said that Travis was this person she felt she was cheating on. So then I asked her if that's who led her to the LDS church, and she said, well, no, he showed it to me, but I had made a decision. And that was the extent of our engagement in terms of anything social. After that, we'd never seen each other socially again. And as I explained to Mr. Martinez, we kept a pretty decent phone conversation. Maybe every 6 weeks, couple of months, we'd be on the phone together. One would call the other. How you doing? What have you? And that was the only contact I had with her, except for a couple of business events that she was at that I was at. But we had never seen each other socially after that dinner night.
Okay. Let me ask you, you said the interview that I watched, what interview are you referring to?
The one that you had made mention of when I was on the phone waiting, the headline, or the Dr. Drew show that I had participated in.
I'm sorry, what did you hear?
You made mention of the interview yesterday when you were talking about me before I came on the phone.
What? No?
You brought that up.
A moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
So he was watching the trial before he was called?
You want to clear this up. It appears from what he's saying that he may have been watching television, so perhaps we may ask him if that was going on. I don't know. I don't know how he knows, but maybe that's what he was doing before he actually testified.
That's exactly what happened. I did not know that I was not allowed to watch television before yesterday morning, but since yesterday and this conversation we're having now, I have not watched television or got on the internet. But before, I was watching television because I was aware that I was going to be called, and I didn't want to get on another phone call or a conference call. And then when the prosecutor made mention that I was going to be called, that's when I turned the TV off and was available to the court.
Okay. Speaking of your testimony yesterday that you gave telephonically, when did Mr. Martinez contact you about testifying?
Sometime last week.
Okay. And what did he say that he was going to ask you to testify about?
Simply that I had given Mr. Searcy his information and vice versa. And and as I said specifically yesterday in the testimony, that Mr. Searcy did not get contacted by Mr. Martinez because Mr. Searcy made a point on several occasions to let me know that. And I had explained that to the prosecutor last week when we spoke. And he asked me if that was the person in question. I said, yes, absolutely. And he said that, or asked me if I had any conversations with him. And I said, yeah, we've only had several over the years, not a bunch, but they were all relating to the fact that Mr. Martinez had not contacted him, and he seemed bothered by that.
Abe, the other prepaid legal person for the misconduct trial.
Did you watch Mr. Searcy testify yesterday morning?
Yes, I did. As I indicated, I was not aware that I was not supposed to watch any of the trial. So yeah, yesterday I did watch Mr. Searcy. I watched Mr. Hughes, then got on the phone with you, but then as per the order of, beg your pardon, my other phone, as per the order of the court, I did not watch any testimony today or get online to see what was going on.
So prior to you giving the testimony here yesterday, Mr. Martinez did not advise you as a potential witness not to watch any of the television coverage. Is that correct?
If that was the advice given to me, that's something that I did not hear. And I apologize for that.
Okay. Now these, you mentioned you had two conversations with Mr. Martinez before the meeting in July of 2011.
Yes.
And what were the subject matter of those conversations, and when did they take place?
The first one specifically was September of 2008. And that was myself contacting the prosecutor because this was about 2 months or so after Jodi was arrested. The long story short, at the time or prior to that, I didn't necessarily feel that I had a whole lot to share. And I had not told this story to anybody save for one person. Nobody even knew that Jodi and I had gone out, not from me anyway. And so in September 2008, when I saw the Inside Edition and she claimed that no court would convict her, that's when I became a little concerned because I had already read the police report online. And so I didn't believe in her innocence and thought if I didn't contribute something that maybe this would be a travesty on my part. So I went ahead and contacted the prosecutor's office approximately 2 months after her arrest. At that point, I went ahead and shared with Mr. Martinez that, him being the expert, I was just going to share my story with him. And if he could use it, awesome. If not, no harm, no foul. But I just wanted to at least talk to somebody about what I had known at the time.
Did you advise him that you had read the police report online when you spoke with him?
Yes.
Okay. And that would have been the first conversation, September 2006. And when was
September 2008.
I'm sorry, I misspoke, sir. And then when was the second conversation?
Sometime toward the end of 2009.
Okay.
I believe it was October or November.
All right. And tell me the reason for that telephone conversation.
That was just simply me checking in because I know there had been some postponements and just letting him know that if he needed me, and he quickly thanked me, and that was the end of that. And then we didn't speak again till about July of 2011 when I had gone in to the office to actually speak to him.
Right. In July, in any of these conversations up to and including the conversation in July of 2011, had he told you that he was going to call you as a witness?
He gave no indication of that.
Okay. Did he give you any advice as to how to react if anyone on Miss Arias's behalf contacted you?
No, he did not. In fact, I contacted him in the spring of 2012 because one of your investigators called me. And so I called my attorney here in California because I had never been involved in anything like this before. and it was on my attorney's advice in California that I can talk to you, that I can talk to your investigator, and not talking to your investigator is not breaking a law, but that it would be a good idea if I had a conference call with Mr. Martinez. And at that point, I reached out to Mr. Martinez via text to see if he'd be available. He said he would. I then called back your investigator, I believe this was March or April of last year, and informed him that I would be glad to speak with him on a conference call with Mr. Martinez. And at that point, I did not receive a phone call back.
Okay. So Mr. Martinez wanted to be a part of any phone conversation that Ms. Arias, our defense team, had with you, correct?
No, that's not what I said. Can I restate what I said?
Well, you just told us. I don't know.
No, what I said is I reached out to him after I spoke to my attorney. My attorney said it would be a good idea to have a conference call with your investigator, Mr. Martinez. I reached out to Mr. Martinez via text and asked if he was available. He said he was, and that's what happened.
Okay.
I want to make sure we're clear on that. This is a phone call.
I understand what you're saying, sir.
Okay, good.
I don't know if I ever trusted prepaid legal. I'm pretty
And-
sure it's /MLM.
In terms of meeting, you talked about in your testimony yesterday, if I understood you correctly, you spoke about how Mr. Searcy was someone who wanted the attention of the media, correct?
I speculated that, absolutely, sure.
Okay, you speculated that. Apart from doing an interview on the HLN network with Dr. Drew, what other TV shows did you appear on?
None. In fact, I've been called repeatedly by the usual suspects and have said no to all of them. The only reason I spoke to Dr. Drew is because he's the only one I was comfortable with.
Okay.
Methinks he doth protesteth
I have no further questions,
too
John.
much, eh?
I have none, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have Mr. Searcy here for redirect?
Well, that was
It is
fun.
my understanding that we do.
Oh, I bet you do.
Did you ever hear back from the county attorney's office?
No.
Okay. When did you make any subsequent attempts to contact the county attorney's office?
It can't precisely, but a few months later, like 2-3 months later, once more information came out about it. Because originally I called because I had one piece of information that could be very useful at that point in time. Then later on, that information was really no longer relevant. But the other piece of information I had was, so I called about that.
Okay. And did you describe the piece of information on these calls?
Neither.
Okay. And then you became aware that Mr. Abdulhadi was coming to be interviewed by the county attorney's office, correct?
Yeah, he had contacted me and let me know that he was going to be flown out to Arizona to be interviewed.
Okay.
He's the one they've been
And
talking
at
about.
that point in time, was there discussion about, are you advising Mr. Abdulhadi what you knew or, and that sort of, just kind of describe that for us?
I didn't cover any real great detail, but I said I had some information they might want to know about, so to let them know, and he said he would talk to them and tell them.
Okay. And subsequent to his interview with the county attorney's office, was it your understanding that he told them about you having this information?
When he came back, he said that he had talked to them and someone would be contacting me.
Okay. And did they ever contact you?
No, a couple of weeks later, Abe had contacted me and asked if I'd heard from him, and I said, no, I never heard from your guy. And that was it.
Okay. Without telling me who it was someone present when you had this phone conversation with Chris Hughes that where he asked about your being on Jodi's witness list?
Yes, there was someone in the car with me.
Okay. Is that person afraid to come forward, afraid of Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay. For business, financial reasons,
Come
right?
again?
Yes.
Okay. this conversation you had with Mr. Hughes, is it your impression that he was attempting to dissuade you from cooperating with myself or Jodi Arias?
It's interesting because of who it is and the fact that he's very powerful within the company. There's an implied, like, why are you doing this? Because, he doesn't normally call me or talk to me. So the fact that he would call me or talk to me is kind of unusual. We've spoken a few times, but
He loved attention.
Any kind of regular basis.
So you believe that there was an implied threat in there?
I can't say it was a threat, but it was, for me, my main thing was, how did he know I was on a list that I didn't even know I was on? Because when I last talked with you, you weren't sure. So I got that, and that's what made me want to talk to him and find out how he even knew about it.
Okay. And you said he referred to me as a snake and that I was a liar, things of that nature, right?
All that stuff, yes.
Okay. And you would say that those would be things that would attempt to dissuade you to work with us, right?
Yeah, he attempted to shake your credibility with me, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down.
May I follow up on that?
You may.
Sir, you indicated that you don't speak or talk to Mr. Hughes very often. Actually, that's not true, is it?
Well, let's get our definitions of what very often is.
Well, you used that, so why don't you give me your definition?
I've spoken to Chris maybe 2 months ago, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, maybe.
Isn't it true that this past weekend on a Saturday, he was scheduled to appear at one of the seminars?
He was holding one of his own seminars for his own business, and we had flyers at our meeting that we were passing out, but I had no conversation with him about that till the day in the car.
And with regard to the conversation about the person in the car, who is it?
Not relevant.
Sir, it's not the way it works.
You can't say that.
Objection, Your Honor. It is irrelevant.
Council approach.
Sir, do you have a pen?
Yes.
Write the name down of the person that's present in the car.
Yes, sir. Do it. I'm going to seal it. It will not be public information.
And if I refuse?
I'm ordering you to
Come
do
to
it.
court. Wow, this guy's strange.
And if I write this number down and it's under seal, what does that mean exactly?
That means it is not public information, but the parties will have access to the information, but it will not be public.
Hold him in contempt. Hold him in contempt. This guy's odd, man. He's so odd. Truly. What?
What happens if I decline on the 5th?
There's no fit.
We will need to discuss that. Is that what you're asking to do?
Wow.
Perhaps Mr. Searcy should be appointed counsel.
Do you have an attorney, sir?
Not handy.
Smirk.
Do you have an attorney that you would like
I
to
love how
consult
the
with
guy who
about
works
this
for
issue?
prepaid legal doesn't have somebody on hand. Nobody wants to represent
At this
them.
time of day, no.
All right, we will adjourn until tomorrow. I will give you an opportunity to discuss this issue with your attorney. You have the ability to hire your own counsel, is that correct?
Well, in lieu of that, since I am supposed to leave town, I would accept whatever you say as what could happen as being credible.
You may.
This is not how this works.
This time I'm going to ask that everyone leave the courtroom. I'm going to have a proceeding outside the presence of the public.
Oh my
Will also
God.
not be recorded in any way.
Oh no, I don't like that. rude. Oh no. Oh no. I don't want. Why? Why is that happening? That was insane. Oh my gosh. I don't have the answer of who was with him. Hold on. I'm going to try and figure this out. Oh. Well. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can figure this out.
Well, you know, in helping her, when you all the aspects, it came out really back and, you know, using when we were, he was there, I experienced him calling her, him cussing at her.
Hold
They
on.
wouldn't let me say it.
You hear all of this abuse.
Why do good girls hang out with bad guys? Change her religion. She was willing to do everything. He'd start talking nice to her.
Okay, the crushed one?
Yes.
I have one right here.
Yeah. Time. Had you seen this,
Hold
you
on.
know,
I'm
bent
trying to figure
finger
this out.
before? Had she ever told?
But it was only through helping her. And I mean, I
Addicted to every man, and that simply came from a horrible situation. She may.
No, it doesn't say it. Doggone it. What a waste. What a waste. What a waste. I'm going to have to look that up to see. So, Kelly, he was supposed to write who was in the car with him when the call came in that they're questioning. Yes, 100%. I want to know too. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on this. Truly, truly, truly. This is fascinating to me. I did not know about any of this. He's pony soldier. Whoa. I don't know about you guys. A lot of you guys are making it seem like you guys didn't remember this or didn't know about this either. And so this is just fascinating. Let me see if, I mean, that's part 2. I'm not seeing a part 3. So whatever happened was completed. That's amazing to me. Well, I can say this. We are going to call it a night for sure. I want everybody to get some sleep. But coming up next is actually the questioning of Gus Searcy. So that's going to be fun. Absolutely 100% fun. So get ready for that on Monday. And then we've got Daryl Brewer coming up, who was Jodi Arias' ex-boyfriend as well. Wow. Amos, it's Gus Searcy. Here, I'll just put it up. I'll spell it. I've seen it enough times now. Gus Searcy. This fella. That's his name. I wish I didn't listen. I might be a little pooper. I suppose every party has a pooper. That's what I learned in Father of the Bride. But whoa, what was the day of the trial? I think this was it's all mixed up. They don't separate this by day; they separate it by witness. But I think it's like 8 or 9. I'll have to get that specifically. But I'm really interested to see what the heck he was not going to want to write. That's intense. I mean, if you really are willing to need to hire a lawyer and have all that happen, oh my gosh, this guy's fascinating. And awkward. Just awkward and fascinating. Good grief. What a crazy night. What a crazy night. It ended up being awesome. Alexander, the next episode is going to be Monday at 8:45. The throwback trials and night court are Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:45. And just so everybody knows, sorry, I blanked. WTF, our fun episode that happens every Sunday. WTF is going to be on, thank you. Good idea. It's going to be on Sunday at 8:30. We're going to go over the last 2 weeks, and holy cow. What a 2 weeks it's been. What a 2 weeks it's been. We had the end of Travis Alexander. We had some amazing revelations, having our interview with Mark Shiner, Travis's attorney. And tell me that's true, Teresa. Does he really have a YouTube channel? Oh, the phone. Maybe we'll keep from sleeping for just 1 second here. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Who said, and I quote, he looks like a magician? Oh, this is going to be fun. We're going to watch the beginning of this. We're going to watch the beginning of this. Oh, God. I'm pretty sure there's no copyright on this. The charm of Gus Cersei.
I was 7.5 years old. I was at Disneyland at Cub Scout Day, where they let you in about an hour earlier than the rest of the people, so you get to run around and get on the rides quicker without the big lines. That was the first time I was ever away from my parents. I remember it really well. Got there that morning, took off running. I got to a place called Sleeping Beauty Castle, and I was about as far as I could make it running as a little kid. I was sitting there resting. There was a song playing, which is now my favorite song in the world, called When You Wish Upon a Star, which, if you listen to the words, by the way, is actually the premise of The Secret, the law of attraction. Anything your heart desires will come to you. That became my theme song of life. And as I was listening to the song, it says, when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are.
He's got like a
your heart
fruit tray in
will come
front
to
of him.
you. If your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. I sat to listen to that song, and I was already a little cynical at 7.5. And I said, if that were true, that would be like magic. And then I turned around, and there was a magic shop. And I went, that was weird. I just said magic, and there's a magic shop. I've never seen a magic shop before. So I wandered in. Watch this. This magic trick. I was like, that was great. For every dime I had in my pocket, I could do that trick. So I spent my entire allowance for Disneyland and bought this magic trick. I went home and became a closet magician.
Good night,
I
Lisa.
did
We're
magic all the
almost
way through
done
grammar
here.
school, junior
Oh my
high school, high
gosh.
school, and college, and no one ever knew I did it. I just did it in my room, and that was it. Every now and then, some company would come over, and my dad would say something like, "Hey, do that trick you did for me the other day. Show them." And that's about it. I really liked doing magic, and I didn't want to find out I wasn't any good at it, so I just never did it for anybody but me. Well, when I was 21 years old, my father took my girlfriend, my mother, and I to the Shrine Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles to see a live stage show. And they had Rosemary Clooney was the headliner then. And there was this magician named Shimada who was in from Japan. This was his debut week in America. And I'm watching this guy, and he's making doves come out of everywhere. And I'm just like enthralled beyond belief. My father turns to me at the end of the performance.
Wait.
For as long as you've been interested in this, it seems like it's something you should look into.
This is
He seems to care a lot
fascinating.
about it. Less than 30 minutes later, my father had a heart attack and died at the Shrine Auditorium. That was the very last thing he said to me.
It's funny.
So at that point in time, I could have, because I was very close to my father, been so upset that I never did magic again. A lot of people just don't do anything again when something like that happens because it's too painful to remind them of it. I went the opposite direction. I said, okay, let's find out how good I really am. I researched all the clubs, organizations, and societies in the world and found out that the hardest one to become a member of was the Magic Castle. You actually had to pass a test of magic in front of a panel of master magicians, and you couldn't use anything bought at a magic shop. So off I went, passed my test, went on to become one of the highest paid magicians in the world. And from that, got teased about having to get up to turn the lights on, and invented an invention that changed the world. Angela.
Invention that changed the world.
Fireplace.
What?
By the time I was 28, I actually invented a new technology. I changed the
What?
world. My invention resides in the Smithsonian today as the guy who invented voice recognition. I actually taught computer programming in college, which is pretty funny considering I'm in the Smithsonian for developing artificial intelligence. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I've always liked science. I've always liked math. I'm very geared those ways. I'm statistically oriented, permutations, combinations, and all that good stuff, algorithms. So I'm very inclined in that direction. here's kind of like the bio that I have. At age 16, my parents signed power of attorney to me as an adult so I could play the stock market, because once they realized I actually knew what I was doing, in order to buy and sell stock over the phone, I had to have adult status.
This
I was raised
guy
at adult status
is
and
insane.
financially independent from that point forward by the time I was 17. By the time I was 19, I had bought a condominium on the ski slope in Mammoth, California, became a landlord. By the time I was 21, I became the youngest owner of a 7-Eleven franchise in the world, and I still own that title. No one's beaten 21 yet. By the time I was 24, I had the world champion Frisbee catching dog that makes more money than most people make in a lifetime. In case you want to know what that means, that's $1,000 a minute, 4-minute minimum for catching Frisbees. The dog actually could do trajectory. It could catch a Frisbee, would do a somersault in the air and land on its feet. By the time I was 26, I became one of the highest paid magicians in the world at $1,000.
I saw that, but I didn't hear his
plus travel
answer.
expenses back
Did I
in the
miss
70s.
it?
Now, $1,000 today is good money. Back then, it was just plain insane. Here we go. Okay. You know, like I said, if you YouTube me, you'll see me on stage in front of 15,000 people giving a speech. And like who just saw me earlier, you know, believe it or not, I'm actually very, very shy. If you had actually had a party and invited me over to your party,
No, you're not,
25
sir.
or 30 of your friends,
No,
you'd
no,
find
you're
me
not.
postured against the farthest wall possible.
No.
Like a cranberry juice in my hand. So when it comes to dating, oh my God, that is the worst, because there, you know, you can't walk up and say anything about you. You know, you wouldn't want to do it.
Oh, you're
It's
fine
a
talking
root
about
canal,
yourself.
as you'll see from those chapters, and you'll see what happens looking for the last.
Your
person.
problem is that you don't want to ask questions of the other person.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. My girlfriend likes to try internet
What?
dating, and so she went on Plenty of Fish, and she called me up Wednesday
What?
and said, I have a date with this guy. And so she called me later on that evening, and I asked her how it went. And she said, well, it didn't really go too well for us. We decided that we don't really get along.
Is anybody else
match for each
confused
other,
here?
But I think you should meet him. He's an inventor, and I have
That's
a
his
couple of
girlfriend.
working on.
I mean,
she
no
said,
offense,
let
no
me
judgment. We
see
all
if
like
he's
what we
online
like.
right now, and we
That's
can set up
fine.
a meeting.
But it
And
doesn't
I
make
said,
any
all right.
sense to me.
So on a Sunday morning, really early, he responds back. And so we made a dinner appointment. And he was late because there was some problems with communication that day.
I don't know. I'll look
and
to see when
did
it was
some
uploaded
magic
in a second.
tricks, at the table, and I found him very, very interesting. He was mind-boggling to me. And I thought, wow, he intrigued me.
It's
The
his
man
own
is
video. It's on his own
incredible. He's
channel.
an incredible man. And about 2 or 3 weeks into dating, he'd asked me if I had Googled him, and I hadn't. And I kept telling him, no, I want to know
of course
who
he
you
was
are
interested
as
in that.
a person, who you are as the child inside, because he is. He's a child inside.
He's
So
a
you
child
can't just
outside,
have
too.
One, you have to have more than one. And I have several.
Really? This isn't a Pringle,
They are
sir.
called sugar gliders.
Oh, of course
They
he has
won't run
sugar
away. I can
gliders.
take it to the park. It could run around and do whatever it wants, and it would be fine. Well, when you first take them out, they get a little nervous. It's actually related to the kangaroo.
I mean, I'm fine with people dating a magician stand-up. I have no problem with that. That's
And
not an
if you
issue.
do,
It's this
you
guy,
carry around in these pouches
this fella.
during the day,
That's what she said.
so they actually could travel with you. So anytime I'm around, especially if you ever see me on
Yes.
stage in a suit and tie, I generally have one of these
No.
under my coat. People don't even know it. So this is my
You
have
keep a
pet
sugar
travel.
glider
Little pocket pet.
under.
My little pocket pet.
Are you serious,
Oh
sir?
yeah, I always have one with me, almost all the time. So I have various generations because they have babies and generation A, B, C.
I'm so
If
confused.
you ever, there's an island 26 miles across the sea, Santa Catalina Island. If you go over to Catalina Island, there's this real beautiful, about $4 million submarine that sits out there in the harbor, and it's a tourist attraction, and you can go on it. I was actually hired by Catalina Adventure
He said he had more
Tours
than one,
to,
yeah.
Design their sound systems and their audio systems and all
Bet
that
you
stuff
he
on it.
did.
And we were having a meeting one day, and they said, we come from the glass bottom boat industry. Is there a way we could, in the submarine, feed the fish, to have people feed the fish? I said, well, just open the window and hand it to them. And they all looked at me like, is he serious? And I was kidding. And it turns out that they didn't know. They were trying to figure out a way for people in the submarine
That's
to feed the fish
fascinating.
outside. And they couldn't come up with a way to do it. And I actually, this was just a few years ago, invented an automated fish food firing system. And it's great. The kids love it.
A specially designed feeding system lets you feed the sea creatures yourself as you launch and fire fish torpedoes from your explorer's seat.
So you can sit at your window.
All right. What? He said it right. He said it right. That was just said. Hold on. Oh, play.
Torpedoes from your explorer's seat.
So you can sit at your window, or portal, if you will, and there's...
Yes, he said it. He said it. He sits at his portal. Sorry, that was the most important part of that entire thing. You all, what is up with these people? Are these... I am so concerned for this world, truly. Let me see when this was uploaded. This was uploaded 10 years ago. So this was 2000. Wait a second. Wait a second. We're all doing the math, right? We're doing the math. This was uploaded 10 years ago. Yes? 10 years ago was what? It was the trial. I bet you he uploaded this after he was on TV. Holy Toledo. Holy Toledo. Honestly, listen, if I got him on, it would be me doing one big troll. Truly. That would be me trolling the heck out of him. Wow. Yeah, he did. He was definitely a cape rider. He just rode on the capes of others. I can't. That's fascinating. Wow. All right, Gus. Well, you got your 7,000 views. Here's the best part. That got 7,000 views, but since then, 1381. Tell me he's become a cook now.
And he thought, oh, I can eat a lot of salad. But it's been in some areas kind of cold.
So now he's doing cooking shows. He's doing cooking shows now. That's fun. Interesting. I will try and find him. I got to do a little bit more research on Gus Gus. But wow. All right. I have kept you all up late, and we're all gonna go now, and we're gonna get some sleep or go do whatever you do. I don't judge. I probably won't be able to sleep for an hour, but my mods want to go to bed. And I'm more than happy to oblige. Thank you all for showing up to 13th Juror Night Court. I appreciate you. We'll see you on Sunday at 8:30. And then Monday morning, or no day court Monday, but Brandi will be doing a recap at 11 on Mr. Smelly trial. And then we'll be back for night court at 8:45 on Monday. Whew, so much, so exciting. I can't wait to get back into this trial now. I'm so fascinated. I don't know if we'll hear anything else from that misconduct, but wowzers. All right, everybody, we are out. Thank you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. And please, good grief, do not forget to smile. Bye, everybody. No, I'm not going to do that. Court's out.